Alright, welcome to the Tea and Pretzels Podcast. Today we have Vary. Introduce yourself. What the hell do you do on the internet?
Okay, what's up, everyone? I'm Verilo. My description is pretty damn long, so I'm going to make it as short and as sweet as possible. Basically, I have a YouTube channel, Verilo. I do comedy on occasion and, critical thinking on Gamergate. You may know me from the SJW Gamer, or you may know me as the guy who did the AJSA thing a couple months back. I'm also an aspiring indie game developer, and I've been involved in the tech industry since 2011. Masters in software engineering, been wrapping that up, and that's pretty much it.
Cool.
I was expecting applause.
Well, you're not going to get it.
Hold on. That didn't really work. My microphone isn't very up. That sounded like
That could be anything. That could be
Yeah.
literally you slapping anything onto the microphone. I'm going to leave that imagination, run wild there.
You should probably do that. We have lots of dick action going on here. I think we've already had Talps on before, so if you want to find out what he is and what he does, just watch the previous videos. People, seriously, don't be lazy. And obviously, the two of us. Let's move straight to the first article, the first topic of the day, which is Google's new search algorithms, or possible new search algorithms. Deal with this is it's going to use numbers and mumbo jumbo, and it's possibly going to hurt Gawker in a big way if this does get implemented. What are you guys' thoughts? What are you guys' feels? Do you think it's going to be implemented? Do you not? Go!
Well, considering that one tweet that the Google Plus sent out, it might come out. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I hope it does.
Yeah?
I mean, Google's been known to change algorithms like on YouTube.
Sorry, Muzzy, you go.
What's Gawker going to do? Just order Google to not do that. Google, since the emails have been flowing, Gawker is probably already on the radar of Google regarding their AdSense program and whether they really want it. So I'm not seeing where Gawker would have the leverage to undo that.
Now, I've heard around here and there that it might not end up hurting Gawker quite as much as we think. It's supposedly more focuses on hoax things and joke posts and sort of shunning them to the bottom of the search results. Now,
Really?
Yeah, I've heard it from one or two people, but I've not heard it from any sort of official site or anything like that, which makes me question, obviously, the validity of the statement. But have you guys heard anything about that, or
No,
anything
I haven't.
contradicting it?
I didn't
No?
hear anything.
Well,
Okay.
Quite frankly, my thought on the whole thing is, well, number one, the actual algorithm that Google uses is completely unknown. I mean, just to get that out there, the only algorithm you can find on Google was, the initial one back when it was still an experiment. Okay, when it was, was it Stanford? I don't remember. But back when it was still a grad project. So there's no real information as to how exactly the algorithm works. Yes, we know that we got spiders tagging different types of web pages and stuff like that, but the core algorithm, we have no idea what it is. It's a company secret, so we can't really. There's no real way of actually knowing what exactly they're going to do. So the whole thing is pretty much just speculation. Now, can they make something to hurt Gawker? I'll let you cut in a moment. Yes, of course they can. There's absolutely no leverage anybody has against Google. I mean, what's Gawker going to do? They're going to create a version of the Gawker Stalker for Google employees? I mean, what exactly can Gawker do? They can't do anything. So they can absolutely do it. They can absolutely put something in play. It's from my experience, it's completely possible from a tech end. But what exactly are they going to do? I don't think we're ever going to find out. But they can definitely. I mean, this is not going to come down to is it convenient for Google to do this to Gawker? Because at the end of the day, Gawker can't really touch Google in any way. I mean, what exactly can they do? I mean, let's be honest. Are they going to stop? Are they going to discontinue their AdSense program? That's going to hurt them more than it's actually going to hurt Google. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar company that even if they lose, a Gawker with the AdSense thing, it's silly. So again, at the end of the day, Google's going to do what Google wants to do.
If
Google
Google
won't really know.
If Google it really gets under the skin of Gawker, they're just gonna make an article called "Search engines aren't your friends anymore. Search engines are dead" or something.
Well, then I hope that happens. I hope because, the second that they start promoting Bing is the second that we don't have to talk about Gawker anymore.
Yeah, but the only way we'll know if they ever change it is if we see a definite change in where the Google search results go and like data and whatnot. Like with I can't remember when they changed the algorithm on YouTube based on what it is today. It was either 2008 2011, and I think it was 2011. But the people that got like 2 million views a day suddenly jumped to like 3 or 15, like just after the day after the algorithm changed.
Yeah, Google have a habit of randomly changing stuff, but I
Usually
guess like you said, there's
the,
no
like,
real way
actual
to
stuff.
predict it. Like you said, there's no real way to predict it if they decide to do that in favor of, well, against Gawker. I'm not going to say in favor of us because we'll get to that in a bit. But if they do anything against Gawker, that's the day that Gawker dies. A horrible.
The real
At the
issue-
same time, I don't know if it's. Sorry for interrupting you there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know exactly if that's. I don't know if this is really an issue as much to Gawker because number one, I don't think it's going to be a situation where anything you search for where Gawker is a possible result is going to be pushed into page number 15. I don't think that's going to happen because at the end of the day, the entire search engine algorithm, it's going to work on relevance. Relevance is measured by clicks and views. So, as much as they change the algorithm, I don't think it's going to push Gawker off the map. And secondly, most of Gawker's users, and this is, don't quote me on this, but most of Gawker's users, as I have, understood it, it doesn't come from people searching for a specific thing on Google. It comes more from, things like Flipboard and things like, which are apps on your phones and things, and recommendation articles from those websites who say read this and whatever, and it sends you over to Gawker. It's not exactly to Gawker's affiliated websites. I don't think the majority of their clicks come from people. I'm going to search something in Google and find Gawker. It's at least that's the impression I have. I don't have data on that. That's just a conversation I had with someone at some point. But it seems logical, and it does seem that Gawker does get a lot of clicks more from mobile apps than they actually do, like Flipboard, than they actually do, actually people sitting down and Googling them.
Talbs, you were going to say something?
Oh yeah, the real issue with Google possibly changing their algorithm for searches is that the fact that we don't know what their priority is. If their priority is advertising, that could do damage to a lot of people. Like, imagine if they changed the priority on YouTube to advertising. People like well, maybe not Total Biscuit, but like gamers would be probably shoved out of the way, and the people like Jimmy Kimmel and Ellen DeGeneres and celebrities would be pushed to the front line, which is very dangerous.
I see that argument. Do you not feel that people like, let's take Total Biscuit as an example. If that was to happen, do you not think people would search him out anyway? Like,
still, yeah, but that would stagnate their growth potentially, stagnating the growth.
Yeah, I see that. I definitely see that. Moving on from Google, unless anyone else has anything else to add to that.
No, I'm good.
Alright, we'll move on to the Sarkeesian effect and what exactly has been going on with that. Alright, what the... Yeah, sorry, I'm just very disappointed in both.
How much were you involved in that? How much did you pick up on that?
I only picked up about it afterwards. I saw the videos afterwards, and I was shocked. I thought they were faked for a moment because I don't know. I expected more professionalism from both of them. What do you guys think?
I don't think I'll take first turn because I don't know as much about both of them. All I know is that when the project came out, it sounded like a great idea. I hope the project still is made.
Double
I don't
monkey.
know. I really don't know what happened between them. I know that I saw the video that what's his name, David, what's his name, that he made
Yeah.
talking about how they were splitting up and whatever.
Davis.
Yeah, that. It seems like a lot of faggotry. If I have to be 100% honest, it just seems like
Yeah.
a lot of bitching behind the scenes and people getting mad at each other. It seems like two people with huge egos, you know, got together and eventually it blew up. Now, my question is because I don't know either of them. The other guy, whose name I don't even know, the guy who left. I was told that guy was like
So
extremely.
Davis is the one that left.
Yeah,
um,
David Arini, I think.
Okay,
is his
okay,
name.
the one who made the video is the one I was referring, who didn't leave, who stayed. The one who left, I was told, or I've heard through the grapevine, that he's like extremely hardcore conservative and has some pretty controversial views and stuff. So I don't, and some people are saying it's better for the project altogether. I don't know the guy. I don't really know. I don't really think it matters who does the project. It's gonna get slammed by the media anyway. It could literally be like the cleanest, middle of the ground libertarian you could ever find, and the project's still gonna get bashed. So those people celebrating that guy is off and it's better that way. I don't know the guy. I don't know his work. I don't know his personal beliefs, but I don't think that anybody leaving the project or being added to the project is going to make a difference on how the media is going to try to destroy it whenever it comes out.
Hmm.
I just hope that the whole thing. I just hope it comes out. That's my.
Yes, they get down to finishing the post production. The good thing is they're in post production, so finishing the product isn't that difficult anymore.
I never had much faith in it, to be honest.
But
You-
the thing is with Davis Orini is that he is a open right wing conservative. He openly says he's right wing and he has no problem saying he's a conservative as well. And the thing is, there seems to be this swarm of FTB folks. Does anyone not know what FTB is? Free thought blogs?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
I've heard of them.
Okay, it's basically
I
a
was
set
thinking
of.
a different acronym.
It's basically the mouthpiece of Atheism Plus, and
Oh
they
god.
have a small cultish following as well, and those people are convinced that he is a Stormfronter.
So basically, unbearable faggots is what you're getting at.
And for
Pretty
those
much,
of you
yes, unbearable faggots.
for those of you who don't know who Stormfront are, they are openly racist, conservative, almost Nazis, basically neo-Nazis. They are.
A soft version of what I've come to know as not neo-Nazis.
Yes, they are not the most pleasant of people, to put it lightly. But to bring back to the little comment that was made, Tops, you said you didn't have much hope in the Sarkeesian project when it originally came up.
No.
Why was that?
I don't know. I was just like, this doesn't really seem like it's gonna work. I mean, it's a movie. A movie is just like, and maybe I just didn't see it as something that'd be successful, especially since it only said two people were like mainly working on it.
That's fair.
Yeah, okay, that's fair criticisms. I was just curious. Does anyone else?
I don't think it's gonna. For the record, I don't think it's gonna change much. To be honest, because if we're 100% honest, everybody who wants to know already knows that Anita Sarkeesian is a con artist. There's nothing anybody can do or say at this point that would surprise me about her anymore. I mean, it's clear she's a con artist. She's in it for the money, in it for the fame, and she doesn't give a shit. That's the most important little detail. She doesn't give a shit, which is a quality that I usually admire in a person. But in this case, it's more detrimental. So, but even if the movie comes out, which I want it to come out, I don't know if I highly doubt it's going to change the perception of people who at this point in 2015 still are not aware of what Sarkeesian is really about. Because, if you go on to, and to me this is Gamergate's most quantifiable gain. It's not, the million or millions that Gawker lost. I don't think that's a real gain. To me, the real gains are the ones that you can pretty much measure when it comes to the general populace. And if you go to, like, for example, Kotaku or Polygon, and go to their Facebook, not their comment section, because we all know how they handle that, and go to, like, their Facebook whenever they post an article, you'll notice about Anita Sarkeesian in particular, you'll notice that, most of the comment section is pretty much complaining about this chick isn't news, stop reporting on her. So at this point, anybody who doesn't know that Sarkeesian is at least full of shit doesn't want to know. And I don't know if the movie's going to change their mind, is the whole thing. So, I don't know. It's
inform the public. I guess that would be a purpose it might serve.
But I don't think they'll watch it, is the main thing. I mean,
yeah.
Think about it. The media is not going to treat it well. It's going to probably be a harassment. It's going to be a movie about harassment or a conservative whatever, is how they're going to paint it. Gamergate has not, cited or embraced any form of conservative, with the exception of Breitbart, a conservative-like support. So it's not like, Gamergaters or people who support this idea are going to go on Fox News, and it wouldn't help anyway. So is the general public really going to consume it? I think it's just going to be Gamergate that's going to watch it, and it's...
Yeah.
Do you think it's maybe going to go, and this is sort of a theory I have, do you think it's maybe going to go the way of some of the Michael Moore documentaries, obviously on a smaller scale, but sort of expose things, show how shitty things are, and then people forget about it maybe a week or so afterwards?
Maybe.
Because that's what I see when a lot of people watch things like Bowling for Columbine and whatnot, is they rant about it for a while and then forget about it.
The only way this will be, like, really significant if it really reveals something devastating about Anita.
If we find out that Anita Sarkeesian is actually Hitler, then...
Like, groundbreaking.
That's why I actually wrote to Jordan Owen that if for some reason even in the post-production state it would fail, that he should at least publish the interviews that they made. For everyone to make their own opinions of that.
I'm very curious to see the context in which, because we all saw the little preview where they interviewed Jack Thompson. We all saw that.
Yes.
I'm curious to see, though it was interesting, I'm curious to see the context, because I don't know why that would even be necessary. I'm not saying that he was wrong, and we all know the history with Jack Thompson. I'm just saying, how does that benefit the film as a whole? I would love to see the context, because quite frankly, here's a man who's no longer permitted to be a lawyer, who has no credibility, not only in the gaming industry but anywhere else whatsoever, and they went to him. I'm curious to see the context in the movie, and it's going to be very important.
The context seems to me pretty obviously is going to be the year old. They asked him specifically about his video games cause violence argument, and that was back in the day what really people discredited completely about him. And
but why bring him in?
They're going to put this in the context of anti-Gamergate propagandists making the exact same argument.
Yeah, no, anti-Gamergate is starting to make the argument that video games cause violence once again. And also, we're seeing lots of similarities between Jack Thompson's reasoning and his logic and his old arguing points back in the day and Anita Sarkeesian's arguing points. The only difference, really, between them is
It's the subject.
one, is the subject, and two, the fact that Anita Sarkeesian is a woman and hence has major moral support from mainstream media. Those seem to be the only two differences.
I can see that structurally. I can see that structurally the whole thing is the same, obviously, but still, I do think it's dangerous waters to tread, because again, the unfortunate reality, and whoever says this is usually a jerk, but it's true. The reality here is that the general public you know, don't like to get that informed about the gaming industry. That's just, that's just the way the world is. People like getting their information in small doses, and, that's why now the news, the way it works, the 24-hour news cycle is, here's the news and here's your interpretation of the news. So at the end of the day, this is something that the media, which already, they will bash this, it's something that the media can easily take, and it's what they did when the demo came out, is that they can easily take and go, look, these people support this guy, when it has nothing, it's we know that that's not the case. So again, I'm curious to see how they handle it, because it's something that can easily be spun, and the media, that's all the media does, okay? Anybody who thinks that the media is out there to inform is lying to themselves. And the state of journalistic integrity is not just broken in gaming. It's a across the board phenomenon.
Yeah.
We were just shell shocked that we had to deal with it too, and it should have been obvious to all of us in retrospect. But hindsight's 2020. But at the end of the day, I'm curious. I mean, if you took that risk, there has to be a huge payoff. And if it's just to compare that structurally they're the same, and even there, there's a huge. Even there, I believe there's a huge.
I think this is. I think though that's very really necessary to do that in a documentary like the Sarkeesian Effect, because the problem we usually have when we use that they're the same argument. Is a matter of association. It's because we say that, and people look at them separately. But it's a completely different thing if people watch both of these in one film being put right next to each other.
Okay. Well, again, I'm curious to see how it works. I think is my bottom line personally. But hopefully it'll come out. That's the main thing. Hopefully it'll come out, and we'll get to see what exactly the people who were supporting them, were supporting. So let's see.
I'd like to see it come out, and honestly, I feel that they deserve it, to the people who invested and to Gamergate, because they're intrinsically linked now, whether we like it or not.
100% agree.
Alright, next thing we've got is console gamers being saved from Gone Home. Why do you think that is, other than the obvious? And what do you think? What sort of effect is that going to have on SJW morale?
Did you for reference? Do you remember last time the declaration of war on consoles?
Yeah.
There might be something going on behind the scenes. The console publishers waking up and seeing where they can where they can start with taking steps.
With kicking these people out. Yeah, that's very interesting. Maybe they're linked. Sorry, you were saying?
No, go ahead. I'll take the next turn.
We're all just too goddamn polite. I think this is I brought this up off stream, but I'll bring it back up again for the audience's benefit. I think this is a demographic thing. I think these the people who decided not to bring Gone Home to consoles just saw the cost of porting it and the demographic Gone Home appeals to, and the demographic of their audience, and just figured it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the money. It wasn't worth the time, and skipped it. I mean,
I agree. I think that's the real reason. I think, and if we can link it with more recent things, I think they saw Brianna Wu's situation that she's in, which I know is a topic that we have on stream, so I'm not going to get too into it. But they saw Brianna Wu's situation. They know that everybody knows that Brianna Wu's game's not going to sell well because she doesn't give a shit about core gamers. Well, guess who's the one? Guess who's your audience on Steam? And they saw that situation and pretty much didn't want to have to back themselves into a corner and to put it into a console. I don't think it's really anything controversial, and I certainly don't think it's a victory for Gamergate at all. I mean, when it comes down to it, if we tout it as a victory, they're just going to go, aha, you guys don't want these type of games to exist. And it's like, no, so at the end of the day, it shouldn't really matter to us all that much, and I'm not saying anyone here is saying it's a victory. It's just, it shouldn't matter that much, and all we can really take it as is simply proof that this demographic that they want to sell is half of the industry, it's nowhere near that. It simply isn't anywhere near that, and that's the only thing that this proves, and it's the only and the only way this can be used against them is simply, next time they go that, well, women are 48% of the game, or whatever number, which is, we all know, is a pretty much a made up number, because if you play a game once on your cell phone, you're in that. But whenever they bring up their, well, there's 48% of women want this type of game. Well, then why didn't you bring this to consoles? And furthermore, it hurts their narrative even more, because if it's really 48% of women like this type of demographic, when in reality we all know it's a lot more fragmented, because there are a lot of core female gamers who don't like this type of genre. It's pretty much just going to be put your money where your mouth is, but you don't want to. So that's to me, that's what this means, and that's how this can be used.
Yeah, I'd just like to clarify just a bit of real talk here. Real serious stuff. Not liking Gone Home is nothing to do with Gamergate. Liking Gone Home is nothing to do with Gamergate. I am a Gamergate supporter. I like Gone Home. I enjoyed it. I understand it's emotional wankery. Sometimes I enjoy that shit. I still support Gamergate. So those SJW who say, oh, you just don't like Gone Home, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, when it comes down to it, I've never played it. I personally enjoy emotional games, to be honest. Some of my best, if a game can scare me, I'm not into a fear type game, but if the game's able to scare me, it did its job. If it's able to make me laugh, it did its job. If it's able to make me cry like a bitch, it did its job, and I enjoy it. So yeah, at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with liking or disliking. I think the only debate there would be, do you think the pricing was fair? And I think that's a fair argument to make. How much was it? Was it like $15, something like that? $20? I don't remember.
I got it on the glorious Steam sales, so...
Oh, no, but I mean full price. Because it goes into the argument, and TB has talked about this too, what is a game, what would qualify as a game. And I'm not saying Gone Home is not a game, but what I'm saying is, if it came out, let's say, for $19.99, are you getting your money's worth? Even if it's a different genre, even if it's a niche thing, are you getting, length and all that wise, your money's worth versus other games, even of the same genre? That's the only real conversation we can have of Gone Home. And props to them for making a good game. I haven't bought it. I personally, I'm not going to. The only thing I can say about Gone Home, and maybe I'm on the fringe here and not exactly accompanied by many people, is the reason I'm not buying their game, no matter how good or bad it is simply because of their decision to ally themselves with a person who's trying to destroy the industry as we know it. So it's not exactly guilt of association kind of thing, but to me, if you stoop as low to going with this person who's trying to hurt the industry, because everybody can agree that Sarkeesian is she's legitimately trying to hurt the industry. If you ally yourself with this kind of scum, for lack of a better word, then you automatically lose some of my professional respect towards you, and I'm not going to support that kind of developer, and I think it's my right as a consumer to make that decision. That's my view on Gone Home.
From just as I guess a review point perspective, I like the story. It's a little bit interesting. As a game, it's boring. As a game, the story is nice. The price is just obscene. $15 for that is pretty high.
It used to be $20.
Oh really? Holy crap!
I knew it. I knew it was $19.99.
And the fact that it got oddly critically acclaiming reviews, 100s, 10s out of 10s.
Yeah, that's mainly bullshit. That is mainly that's a direct effect of allying themselves with Anita Sarkeesian. That is specifically why I dislike that decision, because when you become allied with Anita Sarkeesian, you're gonna get all the thumbs up, and this is a great and game of the year in many cases. Come on.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
No, let's just no.
Can I just quickly bring up, Mozzie, that image is faked.
Yeah.
I've just confirmed that now. That image has been photoshopped. Unfortunately, for those of you listening, it's an AMD image.
Someone put the 4chan logo on
No one can see it
the,
anyway.
Oh yeah, no, it's just in case they're wondering what I'm talking about right now. It's an AMD advertisement, and it looks like Vivian James in the
And
image.
someone photoshopped a little 4chan clover
Hmm.
on it.
It's a cute picture though. That is a cool picture, and it's a shame it was faked. But yeah. Anyway.
The main issue I have with Gone Home is just its high price. I mean, there are many
Yeah.
games that are 100 times better than Gone Home. Terraria is worth $20, and you only have to pay $10 for that. In my opinion, you could sell it for $20, and it'd still sell really well.
Anyway, I think that's enough ranting about Gone Home for one day.
Okay.
Shall we move on to Woozle News?
Weasel News.
Oh no, this is better. This is Brianna
Confirming
Woozle.
your prejudices.
Alright, so this is Brianna Wu versus Anti-Gamergate. And you heard me correctly, folks. Anti-Gamergate.
Yeah.
Take it away, people.
I've always said that the cannibalistic nature of aggros would be their downfall, and it's already happening. They're literally eating themselves.
He is getting his woman card revoked.
What?
Shots have been fired.
I missed it.
Do we now have to accept him into the male privilege club? Because I don't really want to.
Oh, what? What'd I say?
Male privilege? No, not you. Brianna Wu.
It's because of a
Oh.
common quote of anti-gamergaters after the whole Brad Wardell thing that
Yeah.
Brianna Wu is a fake feminist and a fake woman.
Yeah. They're starting to eat each other from the inside out, which I've
Well,
been
I mean-
saying for ages.
She is technically a fake woman.
Yeah,
I mean, biologically she's male, so
yeah.
That's a dangerous.
I think it's a dangerous
path.
topic. I think it's a dangerous topic, but
yeah.
as far as we're aware. But yeah, just I'm talking more. I've been more interested in the fact that Anti-Gamergate have now suddenly dumped her, just completely and utterly dropped her, as far as I can tell,
Mhm.
and are now I mean, what do you do if you're in Brianna Wu's shoes? Like,
You're broke. You're broke now. You don't.
You're-
You
Did you
don't
guys
need
see?
money.
Did you guys see the numbers? Is this one guy ran the numbers on how much she's made, and she's like in the hole for like 200,000, something like that.
Holy
and
crap.
shit.
It was like the game made her like 85K, and I don't remember all the numbers, but it's out there. Somebody tweeted it. It was referencing an anti-GGer article where he said like it sold 4 times. The demo was downloaded X amount of times, and it actually when people buy it, the average when they download the free trial, the average of people actually buying the product is 2%, and supposedly did 4% more. 4 times more, which is 8%. And they calculated it based on the price of $5.99. It was like it came out to a profit of 85K, but then the engine took its bite out of it. Apple took its bite out of it, and she went out like 65K, something like that. and the production cost was supposedly 400. So she's in the hole big time, and she has to
Wow.
supposedly turn a profit. And once again, I hope somebody can find the tweet and put the numbers out there. This is something I read, so don't take it as Bible. But at the end of the day, but I think it's very accurate because 400K. I don't think she made 400. I don't think she made that investment back
If you
in
So that could
mobile sales. But
That could explain why she is really trying to get people to support her Patreon by doing the
Yeah.
and also
and,
something that was brought up on a stream that I was on yesterday is the interesting fact that their Patreons, Zoe Quinn, her, is starting to drop. It's starting to drop. The amounts are starting to go down. I haven't confirmed
Really?
this. It would be interesting if somebody could go on and confirm
But
it.
about the sales, if you faved or retweeted it, it would be nice if you dug out the link.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
that'd be
look it
fantastic.
up when I get a shot. I did retweet it, and I think I favored it. I'll look it up in a moment. But at the end of the day, and again, I don't think it's that difficult to see because we all know the 400K number. It would be let's say that half of that was the budget because also when you start a company, there's costs involved. So it's not $200,000 costs, but let's be ultra generous and say that it was $200,000. Half of what she was given was used for the development and licensing and all that of this game. I don't think this game on mobile sold as well to make her $200,000. I don't, it doesn't, it just does. I can't wrap my head around it. And at the end of the day, it's very consistent with her current predicament, because the reason why she's trying to reach out a little bit to Gigi, and anybody can say whatever they want. That's the only reason she got together with Bradwell, so that people could go, oh well, maybe she's not a complete piece of garbage, which is not going to happen at this point, because she's appealing to quote unquote neutrals, and everybody knows how I feel about the term. But she's appealing to the people who are more, oh, we'll give you a chance and we'll forgive and forget. I'm not one of those. And she's doing it for the simple fact that we all know that SJWs, they're not gamers. That's the important thing we have to keep in mind here. The people we're fighting, they're not gamers. They don't give a shit about video games, and they're not a real market. Okay, this niche market that they keep talking about, SJWs are not it. Some SJWs are part of that market, but they're not it. So at the end of the day,
I'm not so sure. Some SJWs really are dedicated to social justice so strongly that they.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, yeah, but numbers stack. That's the whole thing. I mean, you can't support her on Patreon. You can't, buy into all the social justice and also buy her game and do this. It's it stacks. And I really do believe that the majority of these people, SJWs, and I also believe that their group isn't as big as they want to make us think it is. So let's go. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that all the SJWs would actually buy a game. I don't think that group is big enough for her to turn a real profit. So she does need people from the core gamer side, and that's why her discourse has changed so suddenly, and that's why she sat down with Brett and expect more of it. But it all comes down to what you guys said. The phone, because everyone called it. The reality is that this is not a sustainable thing what they got going on from an economic point of view. You can't expect to shit on the main audience and be successful. These two things can't happen, which is why they're so focused on trying to change the developers that are already established, so that their garbage becomes the norm. And so now they're part of the normal group, and people will buy the games for that reason, for social justice reasons. Because if you put the game if you put the game next to all the other ones, when it comes to pure quality, whether you be story, game mechanics, or whatever you want to measure it, it's just not going to hold up. And at the end of the day, I think Brianna Wu was honest about one thing. This is her magnum opus. I think this is the top of her talent. I don't think she can go farther from this. This is as bit high as she goes. So if this flops, she's done. I don't really think she can do anything better when it comes to pure game development. So they're going to try to make it sell, and they will eat each other, because at the end of the day, it's been 7 months. I don't think that they can sustain being supported on Patreon by their the people who feel bad for them forever. It'll eventually start to crumble, because look at Zoe Quinn. I know we're not supposed to mention Zoe Quinn, but she's a great example here. People who are supporting her, I bet you, behind closed doors, are starting to ask themselves, what am I supporting? I mean, what next game has she put out? Patreon says she puts out free games. Where's we got Depression Quest, and what's next? Eventually, and with the transition, I believe that's going to happen. That I do think that Kickstarter and Indiegogo are going to die down, and that Patreon's going to be the next thing, because from a theoretical standpoint, it is a good idea. Developers put out free stuff, and they get money, based on how much you think they're worth.
Well, about that, I would like to put on the tinfoil hat for a second.
Because tinfoil hats.
Wait, let me get mine. Okay, got it.
I ran out of tinfoil today.
From how quickly the Patreon of Brianna Wu shoots up and down regarding her depending on her loyalty or her perceived loyalty to anti-Gamergate. I have sometimes a suspicion, and for instance the fact that Zoe Quinn's Patreon still goes strong with $4,000 a month. But could it be that there are certain anti-Gamergate players, I mean large money players, that are artificially maintaining these
obviously yes
these idols through Patreon?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt. Take the tinfoil hat off. I don't think there's any conspiracy theory there. I think it's absolutely something that is not only plausible, but it's going on. If you and the one speck of proof that you need is just look at how these people are supported by the SJW media people also giving to them on Patreon. It's more of a you're an SJW if you donate to X and Y. So first off, I think they're extorting money off of their own people, and second of all, I think they're obviously donating to influence those numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if Brianna Wu has family members who artificially pump money into it as well. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
So take the tinfoil hat off.
Yep.
Maybe use it for a sandwich or something.
No, leave it close
I
by.
don't
We
need
never
tinfoil.
know when we're gonna need it next. Illuminati's always listening.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I think now will be a decent time. I'm just gonna throw a grenade and then run away. That grenade being Liana K. So let me just. There we go.
No, you can't run away from this.
Am I
I'd
supposed
just
to
like to-
catch it?
Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna go ahead and say, views
I guess-
shared by our guests at some points maybe don't represent all of us. So just FYI. But yeah, go ahead and do what you do best.
This is gonna be good.
So wait, who's up?
Julio?
You.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's me. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was expecting fireworks.
Okay. No, I thought someone
let me
else was
down.
gonna talk, and then
No,
I was
no.
gonna go since I'm, I ramble a lot. Okay. So here's the whole dealio. Here's the dildo. Let's start it mature. First off, it's a long story, and if you haven't heard it, basically what happened, summed up, and I would suggest you go to the Andrel's channel and look at the videos and judge for yourself. But basically what happened is she was supposed to, do an interview with him about Gamergate and about her thoughts, and she was sent the questions in advance, and this is very important. Keep that in mind. She was sent the questions a whole day beforehand, so she had time to analyze them, and she agreed with them and all that. A practice that personally I think I don't like it when interviewees get the questions in advance, because it reminds me of a wrestling promo more than an actual interview when they know what's coming, so they can sit there and prepare. I personally don't like that, but again, to each his own. So she got the questions, she went on stream, and basically what happened is that she went batshit crazy because of something that she herself said. She basically, she was asked a question about Gamergate, and she started to, she started to work the angle that we're hypocrites, and she used that exact word. That's not me, playing it up for drama. That's exact word, saying that we're hypocrites because some of the people that we support, are unethical, and people were like, okay, whatever, and then she pushed it further and said, like, the Ralph retort, he bashed me, it was her thing, that the Ralph retort bashed her. And I would suggest reading the 3 articles. Personally, I don't think they're as unfactual as she wants to make them out to be, because her whole thing is that Ralph just made up a bunch of shit about her and bashed her because he doesn't like her. And she started pressuring other people who were around, which is a mistake on the Andrel's side, that he was doing an interview, but there were like 3 more people there. And many people pointed to, why would you do an interview with more people there? And being on a regular on his stream and speaking to him in private, I do know the way that he operates, that he wants to have people there, because when the interviewee leaves, you talk about what the interviewer said, and he, I can imagine that he wanted to have people who heard the thing, because when you bring on a guest, you guys should know, they don't necessarily were listening to the stream while it was going on, so they don't necessarily know what exactly the topic is. And second, the guests that were there were very uncontroversial people, very unconfrontational. They were pretty much supporting everything that she said. And this one member didn't want to talk about Ralph and didn't want to shit on the guy without him being there and without having full grasp of the situation, and she found that unacceptable when she blew up. So that happened, and I'm just recounting the story before I know I'm wasting a little bit of time.
Before you finish recounting the story, there was something that caught my attention, an issue regarding her when the name of Ben Kuchera falls. What is your stance on that?
To be 100% honest, to me, it's just my entire opinion. I didn't finish the whole thing, but I did hear the Ben Kuchera part. Well, I think it's obvious. I mean, go back to September 17th. She did an article with Polygon after Polygon was exposed for being trash. I mean, this is not, it's pretty obvious. I want to get to that in a moment because that's fuel to the fire. I think you know where I'm going to go with that. But it's obviously she's defending her friends, but it very much links to the main piece of information that bothered me. What bothered me most was not just the fact that she was trashing Ralph and calling him unethical and saying that Gamergate shouldn't support him, otherwise we're full of shit. My problem was that she had this attitude that we have to negotiate with journalists, that we have to somehow speak to journalists in a way that, to bring them to the table. And a lot of people in Gamergate kind of nod along and go, yeah, we have to talk to these people. And it's a little shocking to me. Because what she doesn't seem to grasp is that we're the consumer here. She doesn't seem to understand that from a pure capitalistic perspective, she, journalist, me, gamer, I'm the consumer. She's selling me something in the form of clicks with her articles and support to her websites. And it seems that to her, she actually believes that we have to negotiate and we have to own up to mistakes we made. She even said that we harassed women at the beginning. Any woman who wanted to talk about Gamergate, we harassed them. That is her exact words. So go to the stream, not adding shit in. That's her exact words. And it's baffling to me because at the end of the day, we're the consumer. We don't have to negotiate with journalists. Either they give in to our demands or they find a new audience. And good luck with that. Look how Gamasutra did. So
that's a bit of a case of misjudging and the wrong attitude then, because we've seen that in the past before with other journalists. They somehow think we are two parties in a conflict and that we need to negotiate and make concessions. But that's not really the thing. We're not tribes who have a conflict. They are the ones who fucked up. We're the probation officer. And we're there to get them to get their shit together.
If you want to put it in the simplest of terms, they work for us. That's the part that they don't seem to understand. We put money in their pockets. We put food on their table. We're the consumer. We'll kick you in the nuts and you'll smile and say thank you. That's what they don't seem to understand here. And I understand that people have to do their job the way they want to do it. And they do have the freedom. I'm not saying that they can't do the job they want to do it. I'm just saying that we won't watch. So you either sell us what we want to buy or we won't buy it. It seems that there's this mentality of, well, this is what you get, you have to buy it. No, we'll boycott the shit out of you. I mean, you can, if they love, if the whole thing is this diversity conversation, I will give you a quote from a strong female character that everybody likes. They can live in live in our new world or die in their old one. That's the bottom line here. And we don't need to negotiate with them is something that she doesn't seem to understand.
I guess this point would be right to remind everyone of something that a lot of us regularly forget and that we regularly have to remind ourselves, and that is game news are the only merit, the only worth that they have comes under the assumption that they are telling the truth, because we are still spending money. We're spending money by spending time watching an ad.
Exactly.
That we could spend making money somewhere. So we are paying them. I pay you, and I don't have the time to play a game. So I pay you, and in exchange, you play the game. You take the time and play the game, and tell me if it's any good. So the value that you give me in exchange for the money, that really depends 100% on the on whether or not I can trust that you're telling the truth. Because once I can't trust you, once that's not the case, before I make this trade, I only know that the game may or may not be any good. But then I pay the journalist, and after that I still don't know whether it's any good because the journalist isn't honest. So once a journalist is caught lying, everything they say and write is worthless. That's the big problem that we need to keep in mind. Once they're caught lying once, You don't know if they're going to lie again, and you don't know of anything they say if it's true.
They
Might
can
all be
earn that
fiction.
trust back, but they have to earn it, and it's difficult, as you correctly point out. Sorry for cutting you off. Keep going.
I think the thing is, I'm not so sure. I think at a certain point you can lose that trust for good.
Oh yeah,
There is a point.
absolutely. I mean, I agree 100%. Obviously, you can lose that trust forever, but redemption is always, at least in my eyes, an option. You know, you can cross a line and not, be able to access redemption, but redemption coming to a theater near you. But I do think that everybody gets that one shot at, that second chance. Everybody can have it. Kotaku could have had it, in my opinion. Steven Totillo, in my mind, could have had it until he went on the Total Biscuit, interview thing and fucked it up. To me, that's when Kotaku died. They still had it, in my mind, my personal mind, they still could have fixed things, and that's when they fucked it up.
To me, they died. They died the moment he didn't fire Nathan Grayson when the conspiracy started.
And didn't force Patricia Hernandez to apologize. We corrected an article. That's humiliating enough. No, fuck you. I'm demanding an apology.
And
I'm not giving you an apology.
And instead he said, I'd rather have someone like Nathan Grayson than any of you. That's the.
Yeah, well, don't worry. We'd rather have anyone else than him. So, he had a chance. And Internet Aristocrat, whether we like him or not, back in the day he was right. He said Totillo had a shot to step up to the plate, and he did, because he was relatively new there. He hadn't made any huge transgression. It was his job to, fix the shit, but he didn't. Now, back to Liana K. The problem, and then she, to finish the, long story short, so I can finally give my opinion on it. She did then a rant video where she shat on, the streamers for being unprofessional and doing so much, and not letting her speak, and so much pure, unadulterated lies and bullshit. And a lot of people just applauded her and said, "Oh, ooh, yay, Liana, yay," and didn't bother looking at what really happened. When, she being an interviewee and being the 37-year-old professional journalist should know how to, do an interview. And, the guy on the other side is not a professional. And yes, there were mistakes, like having more people in the interview, but those people were just patting her on the back and applauding her the whole time. So I don't see what the problem was. But she was the one who went batshit crazy. Nobody provoked her, and she was pretty much demanding an explanation as to why we support Ralph, and saying that Ralph, was a liar and doing all sorts of things that, whether you like Ralph or not, he will give you an opportunity to say to his face. Now, I think he gets at least that much credit. And frankly, at the end of the day, when you put Ralph and Liana next to each other, again, whether you like Ralph's work or not, when the whole King of Pole / Internet Aristocrat thing blew up and Gamergate was spiraling, two men were the glue that kept everything together. Sargon of Akkad, the Ralph Retort. Those were the two guys that helped keep things together. So at the very least, he gets that to his credit. And, bashing someone on stream without that person being there and able to defend himself is unprofessional to the nth degree. But again, my personal opinion on her, because we don't want to spend 15 hours on this segment, is that she's supposedly not even a neutral, in her own words in that stream. She's not a neutral, because neutral is Switzerland. I agree with her on that. And neutral is having no stake in it, and I don't care who wins, and that's not true. But she, I believe that Liana K, at the end of the day, is about Liana K. She's going to do what's best for her. She doesn't really care who wins as long as she gets ahead. To me, that should have been proven when she decided to make that article with Polygon, despite Polygon being pure and utter unadulterated garbage, with her still defending Ben Kuchera, the man who endorses the Blockbot and wants, Gamergators to go away, put in nice terms. And again, she'll spin, and I don't think it's a coincidence that when Tim Schafer did her thing, she puts, extra spicy tweets out there against him to kind of mitigate the damage. And I think that, we're too, as a movement, this is criticism of Gamergate, I think we're too nice. I think we want to prove so badly that we're not horrible people, and we're not horrible people. We don't, I don't know why we're so desperate to prove it, but we're so desperate to be nice and be, treat everybody okay. And, we give people like Liana way too much leeway. And she literally sat on a stream and called Gamergate hypocrites and said that we harassed women at the beginning and said all this unfounded thing that if anyone else would have said it, we would have buried him. Instead, she's out there with a ton of Gamergate support, and her videos got a bunch of likes. So that's criticism of us. That's something that we need to start. We need to start really holding people accountable, everybody accountable, not just King of Pole when he fucks up, not just Zoe Quinn and Brianna Wu, but people who have said nice things about us. Everybody needs to be held accountable, and it's something I've been preaching for quite a long time. I said it with the Angry Joe thing, and I think it's something that we as a group don't really do. And I think it also has something to do that she's a journalist, and we don't want, we want to say, hey, there are good journalists, and we want to talk to them for some ungodly reason, because as you correctly pointed out, we're a consumer. We're not, they have to play by our rules, not the other way around. And I'm dying for people to realize this and collectively wake up.
I'm not so sure. I think to a certain extent, we'll always be nice to a certain extent, but luckily we are diverse. We have some that aren't so nice.
We have to be civil to an extent.
Yes.
If we're not civil, then we'll just be the same as the aggros, cannibalistic.
That's
Again,
what I was going to
so-
bring
so-
up.
Civility and niceness are not the same thing. For example,
Yeah,
in my
I know.
it's clear my stance on Liana K. I think nobody would argue that I was uncivil right now. So I people could argue I wasn't nice, and I would thank them because I wasn't trying to be nice. But uncivil, again, it's I agree we have to be civil about it, but at the end of the day, I think we're too forgiving, and the whole being nice is a dangerous path because you'll put up with things that you shouldn't put up with, and we can fall into a dangerous trap because if you are nice to this person and you're not nice to the other one, then you'll be called a hypocrite. And I do think that we treat people differently. I think we treat big YouTubers very differently, and I'm specifically pointing to Angry Joe. I think we treat them very differently than we would, a normal run-of-the-mill anti-GGer, for example, a normal Twitter jackass. I think we treat them very, very differently. And I think it's mixed with, and I'll let you get in on a moment, so we can go back and forth. But I think it comes down to that the word it's not fear, because it comes it comes with a lot of baggage if I use the word fear, but there's this discomfort about calling people out that we really, really want to be on our side. That's to me what it comes down to. Go ahead.
But I forgot what I was gonna say.
Well,
Oh yeah, I remember.
for-
Okay, we need to be critical of everyone equally, very equally.
Yeah.
It's a very important thing, and I enjoy being critical of people as long as it gets us closer to a more honest and truthful standpoint.
Well, thing is, Sargon was obviously just trying to be diplomatic, but thing is, for instance, Short Fat Otaku spent an entire video taking criticisms from, of all people, Zoe Quinn, and looking at them closely, and essentially his conclusions are that there is something to, for instance, tech rap having to improve themselves in terms of professionality as of yet.
Yeah.
Because they need to upgrade. They need to upgrade now that their readership is growing, and otherwise these kinds of criticisms, when you really look at them closely, amount to bullshit.
I don't think there's much disagreement there. I guess the question I would like to ask is, I always have this debate, and it's a legitimate question. Do you guys believe, and I know I'm not an interviewer here, so if I'm permitted a moment of pretending to be, but would you guys agree that we do on occasion do not treat people the same when it comes to criticism? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, to an extent.
I think we do. My biggest, the thing I wonder about the most when it comes to this topic is when the dust settles, will we will we then turn around and examine what our supposed allies have said critically? Because if that happens, I would have less of an issue with it. If it is eventually brought up and we eventually think, maybe this person wasn't completely open with us, and maybe we should investigate that now that the big targets are out of the way, then I could see a definite argument for that. But I would definitely be against calling out people on small little things everywhere, because that just end up pissing everybody off, and then we
No, of
wouldn't
course,
have much of an audience.
I think
I agree there. That's just being a dick. Quite frankly.
I think
You
I think
perfectly described what being a dick is.
I think on certain areas where we are too diplomatic in so far that some of us seem to have too high hopes on certain things. For instance, Sargon of Akkad's approach regarding Angry Joe was that he was trying to be diplomatic. But the thing with Angry Joe was that wasn't Angry Joe's stance had nothing to do with how nice we are or are not to Angry Joe. This has the fact to do with it with that he's a complete sniveling coward.
Well,
I like that way of putting it. It's funny because I was one of the people. I got so much heat because I made a video. Actually, first I appeared on a stream and I said that I felt, because when Angry Joe's video came out, a noticeable thing, and you can actually go and look at this by looking at the dates on videos and such, is that when Angry Joe's video came out, where he said things like, for example, Milo is just in to debate with people and he doesn't know what he is. He didn't acknowledge Not Your Shield or a Game Journal Pro, and a number of foolish things. Most big people in Gamergate were quiet. Nobody said anything. So I said I feel that it's a degree of fear of not going after a YouTuber for the simple reason that the guy is associated with Total Biscuit. And last time something came out about him, the blistered thumbs and the AJSA stuff, and the non-disclosure of paid promotions, which to this day still there are videos of his that are not disclosed as being paid promotion. Total Biscuit came out and he made a mistake, and that's another thing that people don't feel comfortable with. Saying Total Biscuit made a mistake is something that if you say that, you'll get a lot of heat just for mentioning that idea. But Total Biscuit came out and said, I want to associate with people who attack Angry Joe, and that was a mistake on his part, and many people backed off. And when the Angry Joe video came out, where he said literally things identical to John McIntosh, okay, word per word, he said things that were the same as John McIntosh, and when he said those things, when he puts out a video, him having a responsibility to be informed, him saying for 6 months that he was going to get informed and give his opinion, on that date, so it wasn't something that was bamboozled, it was something that was supposedly 6 months in the making. Then he admitted to do 3 days of research. Nobody said anything. Nobody said a damn word. So I said, hey, I feel there's a degree of fear, and it's understandable. I mean, you don't want to have to fight SJWs and big YouTubers. It's understandable. But at the end of the day, if we're for ethics, it's not just ethics from journals, it's ethics in gaming. And that was unethical, putting out misinformation, knowing it's misinformation. Because at that point, anybody who tells me that, well, maybe he didn't know, he was misinformed, he chose to be misinformed. 7 months in, with all the info that he's been sent on multiple occasions, having a scandal of Gamergate in his own community, he chose to be misinformed. That is, nobody can make an argument in my eyes against, that. And nobody said anything, and I said I believe there's a degree of fear. And a couple of people went off on me, said you called Sargon a coward, and got very upset. And then Sargon makes his video, and I make a video saying, hey, Sargon, you went too soft on this guy. For fuck's sakes, you said we should apologize to him. What? We should apologize? And I made that video. And most people applauded me and said, oh, that's, you're right. And Sargon even came down and said, hey, you make some good points. I disagree on this. And we had a brief conversation about it. But at the end of the day, when he first made his video, everybody applauded it. Everyone said, yeah, it's okay for Joe to be neutral, despite the fact that he's not behaving as such. And everybody applauded it. So
not necessarily. There is you have to
majority. Based off of the like ratio in Sargon's video, when the message of it was, and remember, Sargon was the guy who originally said, before he made a video, he only made a video because people asked him. Okay, it didn't seem to be in his plans originally. When Joe's video came out, he made a tweet saying, I agree with most of Angry Joe's points, and it was a fair depiction of Gamergate. And you can look that up on his timeline. Okay? And when I say everybody, I know I'm using a very blanket term. I know there were people who didn't. But based off of his like ratio, his retweet ratio, the majority of people who saw that agreed, or at least feigned agreement.
I think that was maybe because, although yeah, Angry Joe was definitely ignorant on some points. I think that was mostly because that was actually the nicest look into Gamergate that we'd had in a while. Maybe not the most factual, but the nicest one. He put it very nicely, and I think that was something that we wanted to hear. We wanted to hear someone not from Gamergate give us what seemed to be a fair look-in.
I agree with... I'm sorry, to finish up.
Yeah, and I think Angry Joe gave us that, and that's why it got so much support. It looked like a fair look-in. He seemed quite positive about Gamergate in general, as in his general messages seemed to be Gamergate, focus on ethics, anti-Gamergate, shut up.
Again, you finish up, and I'm sorry, I just keep interrupting.
Yeah. I think that's what Gamergate wanted. I think that's why we support it. Not that we're going soft on him, just that at that moment in time we needed some good news.
Again,
yeah,
I can see your point, and I partially agree with it, but I think that denotes a bigger problem. I think, that at least to me, it sounds like a settle mentality. We'll settle for anything. And again, it also seems like a case of wishful thinking because, the video, if you look at it, points like they're, equating anti-GG and GG, saying that both sides, there's equal harassment on both sides. First of all, that is a lie. That is completely unfactual.
Agreed.
Okay? The people who harass on the GG side are not even part of GG. They're third-party trolls. No face, no big person, no big pocket of people have endorsed harassing anybody. There's no proof of that. On the other side, the faces have. Okay, so right there, there's a huge issue and there's a huge mistake on his part, willful mistake. But at the end of the day, the message was not good. It was not okay. It was not in any way. It was, and again, if you say something nicely, if I sit here and I yell at you and say you're an asshole, and if I sit here and say it with a very polite voice, and say, oh well, you are an asshole, I'm still calling you an asshole. Again, it's this disease of niceness which bothers me, because of how disingenuous to its core it is. The message was, if you go back and you look at that depiction, there wasn't, again, there was not a single thing that I can go and say, oh yeah, he was right. A single thing, and I've had this conversation at least 5 or 6 times since, and I usually ask people, say one fair criticism that he made of Gamergate. And, it's difficult to even think of one, and the few ones that are manufactured, they unravel immediately. Like, saying things like how we mistreated Zoe Quinn. First, I mean, if we analyze him, if we take off the, if we stop bullshitting for a second and we go back and we look at our actions towards Zoe Quinn, I do not think that the movement, which wasn't even born yet, so I'm going to talk about the conspiracy. I don't think the conspiracy focused on Zoe Quinn, or his main message was Zoe Quinn is a slut, for more than 10 minutes. The more I think about it, the more I was there, the more I look at it, it was more, this chick is talentless and she was using, this situation to get forward. And that's what people were pissed about. And the media immediately spinned it because, well, they were the ones who were going to come off ugly at the end. So, again, his entire coverage was, you guys are trash. And it's not the first time is the worst part. I mean, Joe had 3 big instances on Twitter, 3, in which he said something completely inaccurate about Gamergate. He's called us harassers in the past. He said things like, you're scaring me now, just because people were sending him information. I mean, that's there. I mean, it's not, you can look at it and judge for yourself. But at the end of the day, even in his own community, when his own community endorsed banning the topic of Gamergate. You know, we talk about how Reddit shadow banned and everything. His community was one of the ones that wouldn't allow Gamergate conversation and banned people for being pro Gamergate and having the Gamergate conversation. So,
but can I just point out that part of it wasn't Angry Joe, right? That was somebody else who.
I respectfully disagree.
Well, as far as I'm aware, that's someone else who manages the community.
Angry Joe.
Well, again, you have to
has the position to tell whoever manages the community, look, what you're doing here, I don't agree with it. Either you stop this, or I find it someone else to do this job.
Okay, I see that argument.
Not only that, it's the simple fact that in his own, you know, it's a back and forth when it comes to Joe's involvement in the AJSA. When it comes to donations, yeah, the money went to him. I don't know if they've changed that since. Then that's fine. You know, it has his name slapped on it. That's fine. The community is supposedly run by Joe in their own documents. And then they go, well, no, it's people that he handpicked and are his personal friends. Okay, a big chunk of them are his own personal friends, the people who run it. And then he goes on his own controversy video and says the phrase, I run the AJSA. So at worst, it's incompetence. Again, at best, it's incompetence. And he was aware of it because he then addressed it and he personally reopened the conversation. He vetoed all of his people. And he reopened the conversation, and in his post he said brilliant things like 8chan exists because of Gamergate. And we don't call him on that. And who used that same argument? Who said that same thing, that 8chan is about Gamergate? Brianna Wu. And we buried her when she said that. So again, I'm not saying let's go bury Angry Joe. I'm saying people need to be held accountable, and we don't seem to like doing that.
I think the reason for that difference is because Angry Joe, even to this day, is to many regarded as redeemable. Brianna Wu is not redeemable,
to be honest. But at the end of the day, it seems to me that the main difference between Brianna Wu and Angry Joe, if we only take the Gamergate situation, if we only take, you know, their actions, if we only take what stances they've taken, I think the only real difference is that Angry Joe, a lot of people like Angry Joe. A lot of people idolize him, and I do think that factors in when judging him. I think the same can be said about Total Biscuit. If Total Biscuit makes a mistake, nobody wants to touch that with a 5-foot pole.
I just like to point out, just sort of change topic a bit. I do think Brianna Wu is redeemable. I mean, McDonald's employment standards have gone down considerably. They may take her on. Just to brighten the topic a little bit.
No, as long as there are unemployed people out there, she is not redeemable. As long as a single unemployed person exists as of right now.
Oh,
sorry. I just thought I'd liven the topic a little bit. Alright, well, I think that's enough about Brianna Wu, Liana K, Angry Joe. Jeez, we went on quite the rant.
This lasted.
I warned you.
Yeah, no worries. It was good. It was good stuff.
Then,
is everyone ready to move on to the next thing? Or does anyone have any last-minute things they want to yell about?
boing, boing.
I guess the final point about Liana K, to kind of wrap that up, because we did go into the Angry Joe world, I think the final point that we need to kind of look at is the simple fact that, you know, what does she, I mean, I know if people want to be nice and all that, then just think, what does she bring to the table that is so important that she, you know, is bulletproof? That's the question I would like everybody who watches this to ask themselves. And if that answer from a strategic standpoint is not acceptable to yourself, then you need to ask yourself, why is she bulletproof to begin with? And I think that's a conversation that has to happen, and I think that she does need to be held accountable. And, you know, I think it's also become popular to throw Ralph under the bus. And if I put her, what she's brought to Gamergate and what he's brought to Gamergate, I think just on merit alone, if we're going to do the treat people differently, you know, she does not get the same leeway as Ralph does. And if we're going to do things right, then they both get criticism where it's earned, and ask yourselves why she's not getting the deserved criticism.
Speaking of which, actually, that's a good point for a little PSA. Yes, the drama.
Yes, this is a little bit of a PSA, public service announcement. and this is a personal gripe I've had, and I'm sure anyone here on Twitter will agree with me. Can we please, if you have a problem with someone else in Gamergate, yes, take it up with them, yes, talk to them about it, yes. If you want to, fucking yell at them and yell abuse at them. Can we not do it on Twitter? Because that's a public forum, and we know aggros are trawling that shit looking for reasons to yell out that Gamergate is dead, and we are handing it to them on a silver platter. Especially when I come across people, I end up arguing with aggros quite a lot on a day-to-day basis almost, and they often bring up shit like this infighting, and there's nothing I can say to that. I mean, yeah. There seems to be an epidemic of infighting right now, and if you're gonna do it, fine. If you're gonna criticize of the GG, fine. Just do it somewhere else.
Actually, what is actually? Can anyone tell me where you can dislike the Ralph Retord style all you like, but when did he really? Because I've seen Ice, for instance, make that accusation, and Drybones make it too, and so on. When did he actually make something up, or publish something that he couldn't verify?
Never, as far as I'm aware. I've not seen any evidence to support that claim. I don't like his style. I'm not a big fan of Ralph, but I would never bring that up.
Because Drybones and Ice and the Drybones crew seems to be repeating that over and over, and I don't really remember when did that happen.
If I can interject real quick. I don't know the drama that those guys got going on, and I don't, in this case, and kind of as an addendum to the PSA, I don't think the Liana thing was drama. Well, I think she started drama, but I don't think the analysis of the situation was drama in itself. I think she did a drama rant, and she wanted attention because people, she wasn't getting the attention she wanted, and got to stay marketable. But yes, that was a cheap shot. But I do think that, I'm not informed of their fight because that is clearly drama. But at the end of the day, you also have to take it with a grain of salt for the simple fact that these two guys have competing websites.
I never really understood that. How do they compete with each other?
Well, I mean, in their minds, and they've both brought this up, keep in mind that they're both quote-unquote Gamergate sites. I don't know how it's competition either because I don't think that people go to one site and not the other. But it does feel, if you look at how those conversations develop, like those two sides think that they're competing with one another. And you know that specifically, the one instance that I actually followed these little fights, was that they are very upset at Ralph calling himself the #1 Gamergate site. That seems to be a huge gripe with them. Now, as to unfactual information, I've asked for somebody to point it out, and at worst, Ralph does have instances, like in the Liana K situation, where he does put tweets up without much context. That can happen, but flat out lying, I've personally never seen it, and I'm waiting for someone to send me something that was a lie and show that Ralph didn't either retract or update or whatever. I don't really know, where those things come from. So yeah.
Well, you heard it here. If you guys, anyone listening, anyone who watches this afterwards, if you have any evidence to support that claim, send it our way. And yeah.
I will call him out on that, but you probably won't listen because I'm a small person.
As soon as you have evidence of that, I'd be happy to help you call him out, but I'm not going to make a move until I have evidence.
Because I don't as long as he hasn't overstepped that boundary, I don't see how he's unethical or anything like that.
I like his content, to be honest.
Because it is clickbaity, but it's not. He never makes something up. I never seen him do that. And next on the agenda would be Boing Boing.
Yes. Right,
Boing.
So Boing Boing is not our new catchy tag phrase, although it would be cool if it was. Leigh Alexander has recently left Gama Sutra to start a new website. I say start in the biggest fucking
mostly
bullshit marks ever.
Revived would be a better term.
Yes, yeah, revived, I guess. Called Outworld. Now, Outworld.
Offworld.
Is it Offworld? I've typed it
Offworld.
down wrong. I've typed it down wrong. Damn it! I'm the worst journalist.
Nice show.
But yeah, she's starting a website Offworld. It's apparently going to be for women and minorities. Now the curious thing is Offworld is owned by Boing Boing, and this website was started originally in 2008, so ages ago, absolutely ages ago.
We'll
And
include the
last-
links in the description.
Yeah, I'll include all the bullshit.
Essentially, she's joining the launch of an offshoot of Boing Boing called Offworld, and the thing is, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, Boing Boing already made the same offshoot, the same site, same name, same art, everything the same. And 2 years later, they merged Offworld with Boing Boing again. And now it's back with Leigh Alexander. So are they going to merge it with they're probably going to merge it with Boing Boing again? And then what does that mean, people? What do you think?
I have no idea.
It's looking like Leigh Alexander is being given the quiet and subtle boot out of the industry.
Oh.
Yes, this looks like Offworld is as the name would apply, off-world, as in they're trying to get rid of her. They're trying to get her out because of some of the stupid shit that she said.
It's funny because she thinks we won't boycott it.
Well, yeah, no. Of course we're gonna boycott it. I mean,
Because
It
Gawk
just-
should lose
yeah.
millions.
the thing that amazes me about this, and this is the first thing that popped in my head when I heard about this. Kotaku has been losing numbers. It's been losing numbers before Gamergate even happened. People just aren't reading reviews. Same with Polygon, same with Gamasutra. People are moving on to YouTube reviewers. And now she thinks, for whatever reason, that starting a new website's going to help. That's more competition. And a new website without a recognizable name and without any sort of clout behind it, at least when it starts up,
She thinks she's the recognizable name.
well, she's
Yeah.
fucking not. That's the problem.
Something
She
on
is.
my-
That's exactly the problem. In
Something
fact,
that might-
she is the recognizable name. She's the chick who sunk Gamasutra. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
no,
exactly who she is.
recognizable for all the wrong reasons.
Something
Yeah.
that might.
By the way, can I just say that
support-
I, as a minority, find the premise of the website a tad bit offensive. I mean,
Oh,
why do I
that-
need a special site just for me? I mean, because
Well,
I'm-
obviously, on the normal gaming sites that totally aren't already dominated by social justice warriors, you're being oppressed because they show games with where the majority of characters are people that are in the majority in Western countries.
But again, isn't this the definition of segregation? Creating a
Yeah.
special space just for me. I mean, what's next? Am I supposed to go to a special bathroom that only Latinos can use? I mean,
I don't know
why
what I'm
does nobody
supposed.
see that this is a bad idea?
I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you. Those are the same political types that supports preventing cultural appropriation. So of course it's segregationists.
So
If you want segregation, if you want racial segregation of any kind, it seems you just go to the extreme of either side. Of extreme left or extreme right, you will find it.
Well, something I wanted to add is something that might support Kelvin's theory is that when was all this made? If it was spontaneously decided to just make this spontaneous offshoot that already was merged before, when was this made? Obviously, if it was a spontaneous decision to open all of this because the artwork and everything already existed, it was made during the game the GDC, where she got Leigh Alexander and embarrassed herself, and Tim Schafer embarrassed himself, and he is probably affiliated with her since she's in with him and all the rest of the UBM crew.
Don't worry,
So-
we will be moving on to Tim Schafer soon enough.
Yes.
That
And
knock jockey. But yeah, go on.
there might she and others and people she endorsed might have made some major mistakes that are being punished. So who knows? Kelvin's theory might be right.
Who
It
knows?
might be a dumping ground for employees.
I think it might be. It's definitely looking that way. But I guess only time will tell. It seems to be a subtle way of firing people. Anyway.
It's weird. That sounds weird to me, that theory. I mean, why do they need, a special place where they can go and still get paid? It just seems to me that...
Because firing a woman is sexism.
And also,
yeah.
firing Leigh Alexander is a big win for Gamergate, and they don't want that. They don't want that.
But again, at the end of the day, was she fired or not? Because even if she goes to another website, I mean, it's a step down in her career, whatever way you look at it. I mean, I'm not
No,
gonna
it
say she
really
was
is.
fired. I'm going to
Yes,
say she
but
was fired no matter what she said. Oh, no, we came to an agreement because I wanted to leave. I don't care. You were fired, bitch. I mean, you
Yes, but it's all about PR. It's the same reason. It's a similar reason why, for instance, Gawker and those sites, they're losing advertisers as we speak. They're just doing it silently now because they don't want the harassment of the anti-Gamergaters that they otherwise receive.
Remember what happened when Intel left Gawker? They published an article slamming Intel. And what did Gamergate do with that article? They shared it like the fucking plague. They shared it around and said, look at what kind of dickbags you are supporting. It was more ammo for us. And they're realizing that now. If they fire Leigh Alexander,
I think we're a little... to be honest, and here I have to interject here.
Okay, yeah, go on.
And I'm being a dick. I'm interrupting everyone. I'm sorry. Bad habits. But I really think it's important that we look at that situation and realize that it's not that we are, people have in their minds right now that we're winning, okay? We're quote unquote winning, Charlie Sheen winning on Tiger Blood. And really, this is, until people realize this is a cultural war, that gaming is just another battleground, I don't think there really will be a quote unquote victory. And here's why I say that. Intel, and the specific story of Intel, we all know they pulled out, then they went back in quietly, then they gave Feminist Frequency a shit ton of money, which people then said, oh, it's just buy-off money. Yeah, but it's money nonetheless. In the tech industry right now, there is the phenomena, I can say that as someone who's worked in all corners of it, and that's obviously a generalization, but, people... I haven't worked in all corners of it, but I've been in microcontrollers, I've been in telecommunications, I've been in software, I've been in electronics. So what people don't seem to realize right now that there's totally 100% is a situation in tech where if they have 10 jobs that they need to fill in, they want to fill in at least 4 of them with women. The problem is that out of 100 applicants, if they're getting 90 men and 10 women, those 10 women will be competed for 4 jobs no matter what. And that is a situation that is very much going on, and I'm seeing it, I'm living it, okay? So, again, when it comes down, it's just a small addendum, and it's not where you were going with the point, but it's something that I wanted to kind of remind people, because a lot of people aren't aware of that. That, again, even if they're pulling out with advertisers, that really isn't the war. It's and I hate using that word. But it's bigger. It's much, much bigger. And I don't think that, it doesn't matter how many advertisers they lose, I don't think that that's really going to change anything at the end of the day.
I disagree. In this battleground, these are arrows that are being fired. Of course, in the greater war, it's only minor, but it is there because this is part of the culture war of forcing. Let's be honest. This is part of a culture war of forcing the social justice warriors back out of gaming, to make gaming about gaming again. And what will follow then is we have to maintain, of course, a watch over the gaming industry, so that we don't have any other either them or any other ideologues doing the same again. And next would be forcing them out of everything. Call them out. We have to learn to call them out for what they are. They are extremists. They are up there with the communists, with the anarchists, with the Nazis. They're all up there. And we have to.
I agree with that point, but where we disagree is, and again, I can see your point, and I respect. I can, it's going to be a point that at the end of the day, I think we're going to respectfully disagree in it, and I can see the value in that point. The problem here is that ask yourselves how many advertisers we've made disassociate themselves from X or Y, and then ask yourselves how many have gone back. Intel was our big one, went back. That was the one that we would, that was our mission accomplished. And then a couple months later, they were back in quietly. So how many advertisers have reverted their position? And again, if we were hurting Gawker so much, we would have seen change. Because at the end of the day, Gawker has investors. Gawker, it's about the money at the end of the day.
Yes, we are about the money, but the thing is, if we're not hurting Gawker so much, why is he selling? Why is he selling stocks?
Yes, we are seeing change. They are starting to sell stocks. They're starting to change the way Gawker is
Gawker being on a downward spiral since the Gawker stalker incident. It's not Gamergate. Exactly. That's been coming, Gamergate or not, that would have happened, is what I'm saying.
Gamergate sped it up. No, we did not cause it. No, we weren't the people who started this train ride. But we sure as hell sped it up. Like, there's no denying that.
What I was initially getting to is, this is all part of the culture war of getting the social justice warriors out, getting rid of them. Because first we get them out, then we establish a culture of rejecting all extremists, including them. I mean, if people organize events, I'd prefer if we'd say nope. Stormfronter, nope, you're not coming in there. Oh, feminist, no, you're not coming in there. Oh, communist, maybe, okay. That you exclude ideologues completely. You don't allow them in. This view of mine is specific for me. I know that others disagree.
Oh, we're on the same train. We're on the same train. I think.
I think we have to establish a culture of rejecting ideologues regardless of merit.
I
don't care for that potential 2% more variety in the gaming market. We can't risk the entire industry just for a little more variety.
But what were you going to say, Gunnar?
Oh, go ahead.
What I was getting to initially was once we're done with this component, once we have a foothold in that regard, it's about in the political field pushing back the feminists, establishing a culture of calling them out for what they are, and undoing the damage that they cause, undoing affirmative action. Undoing stuff like the Violence Against Women Act and downfunding academia. That's already happening. Downfunding women's studies courses. That's already happening right now. And next would be undoing all sorts of laws that were passed under the grip of feminism. Because that would solve the affirmative action problem. Because what you're talking about is affirmative action.
Yeah, I mean, I am, today I'm going to go to sleep happy knowing that there are people who see the things, that recognize the bullshit where it is. And I applaud you 100%, and I'm literally with you on everything. The only place that we are, well, except that I guess I've watched a little bit too much George Carlin, and I'm way more of a pessimist and actually believe that a lot of things we won't be able to fix in the more general, not in gaming, in the more general scope of things. But where we disagree, the only point that we disagree is the scope and the magnitude of the effect that we've actually had. I think, again, to me, the gains of Gamergate have not been speeding up Gawker's, eventual death, which, quite frankly, 10 years' time is the absolute bare minimum I think we're going to have to invest to see Gawker die. Excuse me. I don't think, the death of Gawker is something that is right around the corner. I don't think it's going to happen. Okay. For the simple fact that they fought people much more powerful than us. Keep that shit in mind.
They're amassing their enemies. That's the thing.
Yeah, they are amassing their enemies, and pot shots will eventually cripple the giant. But again, where we simply disagree is that I don't think that the damage Gamergate has done is quantifiably measured when it comes to economics. I think that what Gamergate's biggest gain is making people more critical, even those outside of Gamergate, which is why I always point to the example of look at their articles and look at the comment section. Because my favorite comments are the ones that starts, Gamergaters are assholes, but those are the best comments, because that guy or girl may not believe us, may not be with us, but at the end of the day, he stands for the same thing. So
And,
I
and
love
for
reading those
instance,
because these gamergaters are assholes. Gamergaters are harassers. But it's that
for,
but that
for
Gamergate
instance,
has caused.
something that has been going around recently due to the exposure of the GDC and the IGDA and so on. How if there is if the impact is really so minuscule, if there is no if the effect of all the happenings is as minuscule as you describe them, why, for instance, is this why, for instance, can you put why does it seem like you can read GameGate off the UBM stocks? How does that happen?
I'm not really familiar with it with that, to be 100% honest.
It's a picture that's been
I
going
can't
around
really
when
answer.
the GDC was. But generally, okay, I'll put it up as an image later on. But generally, during the conspiracy, they suffered some losses, of course, because the IGF was being exposed then, and after the gamers are there was a steady spiral down, and then it shortly went up again, and then it spiraled down gradually, and it suffered it massively sped down when the Intel thing happened. When Intel pulled their ads from Gawker, it massively sped down, and even to this day, it seems to have not really recovered from this in total spiral downwards.
I guess I can answer you, and I hate to pull a Pixie Jenny here, but I can answer you with another piece of evidence, which is if we've caused so much damage, Vox Media seems to have not gotten the memo. Because, if we look at Kotaku and Polygon, if we go to the Alexa rank and you look at their traffic's up. I mean, again, if we're doing so much damage and we're hurting them so much, from a quantifiable economic perspective, and again, I'm not saying that we're not hurting them, but we're not hurting them in the way that you would think. I think that we're hurting them because we're eliminating their audience.
Has gone up.
Wait, excuse me?
You were saying something, Tops?
The bounce rate has gone up significantly.
Oh yeah, but that's because of the clickbait nature, to be honest. I mean, bounce rate, and again, I don't think it's because Gamergate bounce rate. I don't think you can connect those, because if Gamergate is about exposing them and showing that they're garbage, they shouldn't be there in the first place. They're bouncing because their quality of writing has gone substantially down. I'm not saying that they had any to begin with, but it has gone down. I mean, you can measure the bounce rate in many other ways, is what I'm saying. I don't think you can connect that and say, okay, Gamergate, because again, if it was Gamergate, their traffic would be down. Traffic's up. And again, and I'll point to them again. We seem to like to have to center the conversation about Gawker, but then all I have to do is to tilt your head over to Vox Media. They're not having the same issues. In fact, they're even more profitable now. Polygon has gone up substantially. So again, but not to be the pessimist. I'm not saying that Gamergate hasn't had any effect. I'm not saying that Gamergate has done nothing. No. I just don't think that it's as easily measured in such a short term. Because that's another thing. We're talking about 7 months to a multi-billion-dollar company. I don't think in 7 months you're going to really do much quantifiable damage, and I don't think you can actually quantify it in 7 months. I think you can take because there's hundreds of different reasons why all these things could have happened. I mean, again, it's like saying that what we did had immediate effects, and that's not. I don't think that's entirely even logical. A year down the line, then we can look at the graph and say, okay, was this just an irregular spike? Is it continuous? Because Gamergate has not gone away. Gamergate has become stronger, maybe smaller, but stronger, and their ideas have become much more entrenched into the normal person's mind. So if we look at it for like a year, 2 years, 3, then we can really analyze the data and say, yeah, after Gamergate, shit went to hell. Right now, I think it's way too early. To me, the effect that Gamergate has had is what I've mentioned a couple of times. It's the mind of their consumer, because again, Gawker does not have a strictly SJW audience. It's absurd to think that, because there's not that many of them. It had a mainstream audience who didn't give a shit. Now they do. That's the main problem. They haven't stopped reading it yet because there's nothing else to read at the moment. which then comes the importance of Operation Rebuild and all that, and make our own media. I think that's is very important. But again, these people are still there. They're still reading them because they don't have anything better to read. But they're still there. So to say that they've lost all this millions of dollars and they're selling because we helped speed it up, I think it's a stretch, at least at this time. I think it's a stretch to say that. But I do think that we have opened the consumer's mind to the second that they see something else, they'll switch. And you can measure the rise of TechRaptor. That's Gamergate right there. Because it's not just pro Gamergaters that went over and started reading TechRaptor. It's all these other people who say Gamergate sucks butt, and then they got presented TechRaptor and said, oh, I'm going to give this one a shot because fuck these guys. But I don't like Gamergate. I mean, that's TechRaptor's rise is you can attribute that directly to Gamergate. So, and again, I think it also has to do with, I do think, and it's an unpopular opinion, it seems I'm full of those, but it does also have to do with the fact that, because we're a consumer revolt, we're not necessarily very organized, and we don't really know how to fight these people.
Yeah, that's something I would agree with.
I've got to object in
a shit ton of time on charity,
yes.
And I agree. How much money have we raised?
What were you saying?
We spent
what I mean is, I dare to interject in so far that we do not know how to fight them, but we're learning.
Yes.
We're improving the methods.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
but
we
at the
are.
end of the day, like the charity stuff, I agree with charity. I'm not going to be the guy, we shouldn't give to charity. No, that guy would be an asshole. But how much money have we directly influenced to charity? I saw somewhere it was like $300,000, something like that.
It was definitely in the six figures.
Imagine if we would have taken a fraction of that and used that to create pro Gamergate ads.
Oh, it would have been insane. Like if we could have used that money for pro Gamergate ads. Not that I'm saying we should have done. Supporting charities is awesome, but if we had done that would have been insane.
And I'll say that a fraction of that should have gone to doing that, because again, it does feel like we're doing the charity thing.
Just on the whole. Just to refer to something you were saying earlier, just the whole. We're not saying you shouldn't donate to charities. We never say that. The person who says that is a dick, Arthur Chu. But sorry, had to bring him up in that because he's a dickwad. But yeah, giving charities is good. I see your point that we aren't as organized as we like to think we are, and I would agree with that. We are sort of a mob mentality. And
we're growing. It's because we're growing, and you guys talked about the infighting. That is a natural. Again, a lot of people like to point that we are a leaderless movement, and that's horrible, and to look at movements in the past and see how they've triumphed. Well, let's look at one of the favorites of the liberal side of the coin in the United States, the Civil Rights Movement. Did the Civil Rights Movement have a elected leader?
No.
No. Martin Luther King was not a leader. He was a face. It's the exact same phenomenon. How do I know it? Because Malcolm X was allowed to run wild, and those two guys didn't get along and didn't agree with everything. If there was a leader, a specific mentality would have been set, specific set of rules, and people would have had to civil right in a specific way. Yeah. So again, it's absurd when people say look at history, because it only helps us more. Most revolts didn't have a leader; they had faces. Most huge movements and ideologies didn't have, leaders; they had faces. And but to get back to the and that's the reason we have so much infighting, because we're evolving. Ideas are starting to come out. People are egos are getting involved and stuff like that. That's why we have so much infighting, and it's to an extent it's good, because it allows us all to grow. And eventually, the pitchforks will drop, and people will extend the hand and say, "I hate your guts, but I'll work with you." And it says, "All right, motherfucker, I hate you too, but we'll work together." And it's a necessary step in growth of any movement.
I think in terms of growth, we're currently the current disagreements that we have, the whole "I hate your guts, but we're going to work together" is already that's in other political fields that's already done. But the disagreements that we usually have is mostly around should the priority be getting rid of extremists versus meritocracy. Exactly,
bingo. I've said that at least on 7 streams and multiple videos.
For instance, Kel here is for meritocracy, and I'm for getting out the extremists. And similarly,
It's going to come down to when Gamergate decides, are we only about ethics or are we about ethics and kicking social justice warriors out of the industry? That's the
Because
big one.
on the 8chans they did talk about that once, about recruiting other fandoms. But for instance the Bronies, they would be up and with us and join us if it was just about getting the social justice warriors out. But the thing is, Gamergate is not just that; it's the corruption thing too. Keeping the industry clean, and that they're not so enthusiastic
I'm
about.
personally pro kicking SJWs out. That's my main thing. It's what I do. But the interesting thing is that, and it comes back. I wrote this. I've been writing for the last 3 months this 20-30 minute bit on moderate Gamergate and why it doesn't make sense to me. The concept moderate Gamergate. Why you need the adjective. What does it actually mean? And it really comes down to that disagreement and people who say I only want ethics but don't realize that the reason why there's no ethics in game journalism is because social justice warriors are ruling it. You can't. And even if you were to rip out the weeds, even if we would burn Gawker to the ground, we'd burn Polygon to the ground. If you don't kill the ideology, you're not ripping the weed by its roots.
The ideology is part of what's causing it, because the concept of part of their ideology is the concept of systemic racism, which in a unmitigated capitalist system, demographics which have a tendency to have less wealth will always end up having less wealth. And hence, that is the concept of systemic sexism or systemic racism. And they want to undo that by putting in an artificial bias. For instance, it can be state appointed, like affirmative action, or just by an artificial bias by running news sites and praising games that have minorities in them, like they're the second coming. That's essentially all they're doing. That's why some of them are doing that. That reason, through this part of their ideology, in and itself already causes them to be corrupt, which is why I often disagree with a lot of other gators. That I think if someone is a social justice warrior, he already is suspect to me. I already think, okay, he's going to be corrupt.
No, because it's in their ideology. It's not he's going to be. He is. He or she or it or whatever they want to call themselves is. That's the main problem. It's an ideological poison.
I do understand. Kelvin, Matthew, what do you think about all this? I know you disagree with me on that.
Well, in my opinion, social justice just fosters the opinion or the belief that proof is not needed, which is a huge issue. Of course it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
I even saw someone on Twitter say that, why do you need a proof in order to prove evidence or a fact? He literally said that. Why do you need proof to prove anything?
That's because the ideology is based on it. It's an ideological concern, not it's not just a hug box. It's it's a to its root ideological concern. That is unredeemable.
And
we most certainly have to get it out of the industry.
That's essentially the only gripe that we're currently facing within Gamergate from a political standpoint.
100% agree. I mean, that's 100% agree. Because when you solve that, then you'll solve the extending the hand to people who you don't have to be extending the hand to. Just negotiate with the journalist mentality. It all stems from that discussion. That's the root problem, to me at least. But yeah.
Shall we move on to the next topic we have here?
Hit me.
Is it the sock puppet? Is it the sock puppet?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, whatever. Let's go on. Let's talk about the sock puppet. Let's do it. So recently at the GDC, Tim Schafer did a wonderful speech where he totally did not make fun of any minorities. Shut up. According to most SJWs I talked to, that's their usual response. Yeah, Tim Schafer did a speech. He got a sock puppet out and made a joke about Not Your Shield.
Oh, I can play the audio if you want me to. I can play the audio.
Don't do it just for copyright reasons.
Don't do it.
Don't
Yeah,
use it.
yeah, they can flag you. They'll
Wow.
content flag
They'll
you.
get any
So,
fucking excuse to take down any criticism anyway, as it is. So don't give them ammunition.
yeah,
Okay.
they'll contact flag me if you do. But yeah, basically, I believe the joke was somewhere along the lines of, how many gamer gators does it take to screw in a light bulb? One
No,
to
no, no,
get the
no.
ladder,
It was
one to.
how many gamer gators does it take to craft a piece of armor or like make like the
Oh yeah,
assets and the texture for piece of armor?
yeah.
One to do like to draw something, the other one to do something else, and then 40 to tweet out the not your shield hashtag. He can't even count the 50. He said he went all the way
Yeah,
up to 42.
40 plus 1 plus 1.
Yeah.
Which I think, honestly, it sheds a lot of light on what happened with his funding for his games and why he continuously asked for more funding. It's because he can't do basic maths and obviously ended up throwing money out the window or something equally stupid. But yeah, he decided to attack Not Your Shield, and I just find it beautiful, just perfect in every way. That Tim Schafer, the man who's saying we need more maturity in video games, does a speech with a fucking sock puppet.
Now there's a reason why that he could get away with that at the convention. Did you see pictures of the people at the GDC?
Oh yeah.
It's
No, they were
all white people. It's
all white people.
All hipsters and white people and social justice warriors. I didn't see a
To be
single
fair,
minority.
let's be fair. I regularly take their pictures, their mass people pictures, and play Let's Spot the Woman or Minority. They do have two Asians hanging around here and there.
Oh, okay.
Was it Arthur Chu and Ian? It might
sure.
have been.
that'd be a good guess.
But yeah, I find the idea of of that kind of strange. Developers giving other developers awards.
Yeah, I mean,
It strikes me as incredibly incestuous just from the nature of it. It's like,
But it already is really because it's companies where UBM has a financial stake in, and it's a conference where prizes are given out that by organized by UBM. Same with IGF, by the way, with journalists who also are part of UBM.
lot of bullshit going on. But what do you guys think of
one company running the devs, the competitions, and the journalists?
What do you guys think of this? And also, in the wake of this, lots of devs came out basically shitting on Tim Schafer for his crappy joke. Do you think this is a trend that's going to continue? The devs sort of coming out in support of us, or do you think this is sort of a one-off thing? And also, my second question for you guys is, do you think that more people are going to be making similar jokes like Tim Schafer did and be subsequently called out? Are we going to start seeing other people be called out as well? Just sort of by the general masses rather than us?
Ever since Mark Kern came out, he's neutral, but he's definitely pro Gamergate leaning.
Definitely.
He's definitely. But ever since that, I think, and especially because of this whole Tim Schafer thing, that's definitely going to be a trend. I think more and more devs are going to gradually come out. The creator of Earthborn Jim, he said that he likes Gamergate because of what it stands for. I can't think of any other developers.
Okay, Ken Levin got neutered, but Ethan James Petty recently even made a joke on political correctness. He tweeted a picture of a man with his complete skin torn off, and he says, "Okay, now I've removed the filth."
I saw that.
But yes, the trend of devs of devs coming out. Coolio, what do you think?
Okay, so first off, the joke, I don't think it was a big deal. And when I say that, he goes, "Wait a minute, what?" But you
No, I
remember-
would agree
No,
with
I
you.
understand it.
I don't think the joke was a big deal. I think what was really a big deal, and it kind of, escaped many people, is as someone who considers himself, I guess, a comedian. I guess I can say that. Wow, that's so strange. Comedy is used usually to send powerful messages. I mean, good comedians, stand-up comedians, not that's the distinction between a comedian and a clown. Okay, a comedian sends some kind of message and usually has something, some at least degrees of truth to what he says. If you look at the legends, if you look at George Carlin, Steve Martin, if you look at people more contemporary like Bo Burnham, Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, despite the fact that he no longer has testicles.
Wait,
If you
that's
look
not testicles. What?
Colbert,
Oh,
Yep, he got muted.
Yeah.
if you look at all these people, you will notice that they have the trend of sending specific messages, some social messages, some about the government, blah blah blah. The message that he was sending here, and what you have to look at, to me, the most bothersome part of the joke, and what really pissed me off, was the little line that he said at the end of every joke. I cannot be held accountable for the sock puppets message.
yeah.
What he is that is a line that Gamergate says all the time, because there are a lot of sock puppets who harass people, and they're not Gamergaters. The message that he's sending here is that not only are we responsible for the sock puppets, that we are the sock puppets is what he's sending. That's why the sock is attached to him, and that's why he continuously uses that, and he does his bad ventriloquism skills. That's what that entire gimmick. That's the message that it's sending. That bothers me much more than the stupid jokes, because they were unfunny jokes. Nobody laughed at it. Okay, nobody really laughed at it. It was then you'll notice, because 2 seconds after the joke, that's when people go, oh, okay, applaud. Yeah, great, not your shield. It sucks. The real message there that bothers me is that he's pretty much saying, I don't accept your excuse of the sock puppets being sock puppets, and you guys are in fact the real sock puppets and should be held accountable. That's the message that bit of comedy, which I'm sure he himself didn't write. That's what really bothers me, and that's the real reason Debs disassociated. It wasn't the racist joke, because it wasn't really a racist joke. If you really analyze it to its core, it's not only was not a racist joke, but in the words of George Carlin, there's no such thing as an inappropriate joke. You just have to know how to take the audience there. And again, it wasn't really a racist joke. He's just saying, it even makes sense in the context of the joke. They're talking about armor, not your shield. It's an obvious connection there. But the reason why Debs disassociated is because he is literally saying, hey, Gamergaters are creating sock puppets to harass people, and that's a dangerous statement. Do I think more people will make the same mistakes Tim Schafer did? No.
Why is that a dangerous statement?
It's a dangerous statement because it's easy to be against Gamergate and say, I'm against Gamergate because they're harassers. It's a completely different thing to say that the majority of Gamergate are harassers and they're responsible for the sock puppets. If you say that, you're directly alienating the audience. If you agree with that, you're directly alienating the audience. If you don't take a position on Gamergate and say, I think they should organize better or whatever, you're still not shitting on people. If you're saying that they're responsible for harassment and putting real big allegations on everybody or the majority, that's a lot more dangerous than the former. So that's why Debs went and said, well, wait a minute, no, I'm not going that far. Because again, look at how Debs said it now. So what, are they all of a sudden pro-Gamergate? No. They did it because of that very specific thing. And of course, there's always the attachment of maybe it's racist, maybe it's not. I personally believe it.
For most races, I understand that it's not really racist, but specifically with American blacks, I do understand that it is. Specifically with them, because this is part of that behavior that the aggros showed from very early on, and the American blacks in that, at least the Gamergaters, in that see basically they see in that a kind of resemblance to the gentleman farmer calling back his workers to the metaphorical cotton fields.
Well, again, if we go that route, we have to understand that racism in America, it's a much different topic than anywhere else in the world for obvious reasons. Um, but again, as an American Latino, I didn't find it offensive at all. I mean, it wasn't, that particular concept of the joke. And again, it's not the racist thing that should be bothering us. It's the other implication. Now, keep in mind, do I think other people are going to make these type of mistakes? No. I don't think that. I think Tim Schafer is a very unique animal. Why? Because you have to think of Tim Schafer's career as a Monday morning burrito. Okay? A Monday morning burrito, one of those burritos that you've had in the refrigerator for who knows how long. It's Monday morning, you woke up late, you don't, you need quick breakfast. It seems like a good idea at first. It even tastes good, not great, because let's face it, good, not great. And then it gives you diarrhea.
Oh.
The analysis here being that Tim Schafer's career is now liquid shit. I just want to make that painfully clear.
Yeah.
He has no, and it's what I've told a couple of people, he's thrown his lot in with the Sarkeesians and such because he needs to. The guy who created Psychonauts and Grim Fandango, that's far in the past. He's now the guy of Space Base.
Why didn't he just stay a good game dev? Why did he have to throw it to the shit?
Arrogance. I mean,
Why
again,
couldn't he just keep making
the
good
celebrity
games?
the celebrity mentality. Keep in mind, the devs now are celebrities. They weren't celebrities 10 years ago. They weren't celebrities even 5 years ago. Now it's starting to become a celebrity thing. And these kind of people like Tim Schafer, are incredibly arrogant and egotistical. He wants his share of the pie. He wants to be famous. The guy's Twitter handle is Tim of Legend. That alone, if you're arrogant enough, and he actually believes he's a legend. He actually believes that he's all that in a bag of chips. When in reality, the good games, because he was never great. He was always good, never great. Okay, 3 games that were good, not great. They're not legendary. They're not games we'll be talking about 20 years from now. Even Psychonauts. Psychonauts' big thing was its interesting story, but mechanically it didn't really do anything different. It was Mario 64 with more gimmicks. But being perfectly honest, I know there's Psychonaut fans out there, and it's fine. You can be a fan, but let's get real talk here for a second. So he thinks, as many others with the SJWs, that SJWs are going to win. And at the end of the day, because they win, people like Sarkeesian are going to recommend him. He's going to get more money and more praise, and he's going to go down in legend. And he knows, much like Zoe, it's what they have in common. Zoe Quinn, Brianna Wu, talentless hacks. This is as much as they can actually produce. If the system stays as it is, a competitive market, they will not get ahead. Okay, so they're trying to rig it to make it, for them. And Tim, being good, not great, in his mind that I have to be Tim of Legend, he wants the game rigged into a position that he becomes a legend and he gets into his imaginary Hall of Fame.
I'd just like to point out
I just think he theoretically he would have the potential to do that meritocratically. He wouldn't have to just.
I disagree with you there. I disagree with you there. What good game has Tim Schafer released recently? Now we exclude Grim Fandango. We exclude Psychonauts.
You disagree with me?
No. As in, recent games he's released.
I agree.
Yeah, he released good games previously.
Did you miss the diarrhea part?
Recently, he hasn't. You're right.
He hasn't, and he is struggling.
Space Base DF9. That's his recent release.
Yeah, that died. A painful death.
He stole money. That's what happened.
And by the way,
stole money.
we can make a segue here, and that's he's also he's also recently he was on the recent IGF. He was on the I think he was on the judges.
Really?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean for the really to sound like that.
Now, by the way, just to clear up, because I know how these people are, when I say he stole money, keep in mind I say it in the sense that 5 years of development was promised, Steam sale comes out, then they cut it short immediately. That to me is stealing.
Yes.
Despite that gets off on a technicality, that should be fucking reprimandable. But again, loopholes in Steam, you'll have them everywhere.
Yep. All right. Well, that's Tim Schafer thoroughly.
Thing is with the IGF, I wanted to segue into the meta game of Gamergate, because that's something
The what?
I thought
The
we
meta
should.
game.
The meta,
meta
yes, the
game,
meta
like
game
where,
of Gamergate.
what are we planning to do in a long term goals? I'm talking 5-10 years from now. What
And
will we
I
be
thought
doing?
I think the
Maryland would
question
be a
should be
good
what should
example
we?
to bring.
What
Mm.
should we?
I think
Because we don't
Maryland would
get
be
to
a
say
good.
what can we do. It's what should we do. Remember.
And I'm
Um,
just going to bring this around one by one and
Okay.
sort of
Sorry.
give no worries, and just sort of hit me with your first thoughts. What do you think? What do you think we'll be doing like 5-10 years from now if Gamergate's still around? And we'll start off with let's start off with Matthew. What do you think we should be doing?
I think we should create our own website, like a one for everything website, like reviews, actual journalism, uh, something to solve all the problems we see in the corruption, because the corruption is far spreading. Like even host our own awards that GDC's trying to do, except it's it's shitty.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yeah.
By the way, something as a side joke of that kind, I've sometimes wondered why has TB not done exactly that and opened the Royal Gamers Association or something like that.
Well,
Royal.
he has the clout to do that. But anyway, let's move on. Julio, what do you think? What do you think we should be doing?
Well, I personally believe that Gamergate should never end. For the simple reason, I don't think it should ever end. I think it should always be, because let's be honest, there's never been a medium ever where gamers and devs can directly talk to each other, can directly go like, okay, this. I mean, there's never been such a direct medium where if you're a dev and you talk about, and you say I was destroyed by the antis or whatever, you'll get conversation with real gamers immediately. I think that's something that's been missing for a long time. I don't think gamers and devs have not, and gamers amongst themselves even, haven't had a way of communicating unbiasedly. Because, we've had forums and stuff, but those are always under control, and there's certain things you can talk about. This whole Gamergate hashtag thing, and people shit on Twitter a lot, but I think it's been exceptional because we've been able to talk about anything and everything and get us together. So I think that should never leave. I think there should always be a way where we can talk, without the dependency of the media in any way or of a third party, without a middleman. So I think that should always stay. As to what should we do, I think it's about building more than burning. I think it's building more than burning, and linking it to the conversation we had earlier. I don't think that we win by burning Kotaku. I think we win by creating Kotaku's replacement and letting them die out alone. I think that we should support, I think that, and it's why my dislike for neutral so much. I think there's a lot of people in Gamergate, I consider myself one of them, that have a lot to lose in being part of Gamergate. There's a lot of devs, there's a lot of people who've gotten fired because of Gamergate. It's not just the ones that we hear on Twitter. There's people who've lost a lot of stuff, who've lost friends, who've been blacklisted, lost opportunities. Those people need to get their fair shake, and I think that's what Gamergate should be about. I don't think we should have a one and only site, like where we form it and this is the Gamergate site. I think, I personally didn't like the idea of Based Gamer. I like Jenny Barrage a lot. I don't think she's as big of a deal as many people think she is. I think she did a couple good reviews and that's it. But I didn't like the idea of Base Gamer because I think that we should make Gamergaters create their own websites. For once take the risk, the financial risk, onto their own hands and create small websites and we grow them. I think there should be a lot of people competing because if we don't compete amongst ourselves, then we become what we hate. We should allow healthy competition, not big one, not we shall crush you. I mean, but there are different niches in Gamergate. There's different audiences. I think multiple websites can be created, and we should support those things. We should support those people. So, I think Gamergate should be concentrating on doing that more than the boycott goals of the day, for example. I think that the former will do much more good in the long run. Well, to put it this way, if you give readers an alternative to what to read and you show it to them, you won't need to take off advertisers. They'll go to the news site. You won't have to send emails. So I think that should be main priority. That should be front and center. I think that we should be very much questioning ideologies. We should very much be tackling, the SJW ideology as a whole. I think we shouldn't be afraid to label the progressives, because that's what that's where they're centered, in the progressive quote unquote, which doesn't mean anything. Label. That's where these people are hiding out. I think we should stop acting like they're a small fringe. No, they are an ideology. They are representative of a big chunk of the liberal, and I'm liberal, of the liberal, side of the coin. I think we should stop being afraid of calling them what they are, and stop, acting like they're extremists or radicals. No, they are a strong ideology that's there, and we need to remove them. Or not remove them, expose them, and allow people to make their own decisions based on that.
You can be strong in numbers and still be extremist.
Well, again, I disagree with the thing is I disagree with how vocabulary has been mutated in today's society. I think the word extremist, and especially radical, radical 10 years ago, or 20, not 10 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, Martin Luther King was considered a radical. Because the idea of a radical is saying that you want to, rip a system from its roots. Now, when I say the word radical, you link it to extremist, which everybody links to a crazy, person in the Middle East blowing themselves up. That's what the word has come to mean. So I think, and it comes to, and we think, for example, of feminism. A lot of people go, oh, it's third wave feminism, extremist feminism. Whether they like it or not, the faces of feminism now are people like Anita Sarkeesian, Rebecca Watson. It's not. It's part of the let's break us down into little. I don't want to be on a losing team, so I'm going to make a special subgroup of the team and say I'm here. I think we should label, Anita Sarkeesian should be labeled as third wave. She should be labeled as a feminist. Feminists don't like it, kick her out and fix it. That's your responsibility, not mine. So that's what I mean when I don't like the label extremist. It divides and bullshits. While they are not calling themselves extremists, they're calling themselves liberal, for example, or progressive. I think it's on.
Yes, but that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. The German Nazis also just call themselves nationalists, and we all know they're Nazis. That's not an excuse.
But again, it's on the people themselves to remove them. It's not, it's not about saying, oh, they're a special subgroup. And again, I think comparing, though I understand where you're coming from, I think comparing, Nazis to SJWs is a tad disingenuous. I don't think it's necessarily the same thing.
No, not really. They are a demographic-oriented radical ideology. They come from a country that has an increasingly negative state as a whole.
What country does SJW ideology come from?
I guess it's either Canada or the States.
You're wrong there.
Are they growing in
I can tell you that in Latin America. And this is why I disagree with you fundamentally. I can tell you in Latin America, I lived this entire thing in 2008 before it was even a thing in Vancouver. 2007, excuse me. In my high school, if you go look at social justice ideology in Latin America, there's an extreme dislinkage between Canada ideology and them, and it's been there for longer. You see, SJWs, it doesn't come from one place. Every part has their own flavor of it, and it's because of the unconformity of the world and the economic changes the world is going through. It's been in Latin America for a while. You guys are new to the party. That's the whole thing. And in Europe, it's a completely different thing altogether. Just ask the people in the east side of Europe, and they'll tell you.
What about Scandinavia?
Well, there you go.
I don't think they are extremists insofar that they are volatile, and that they need a lot of bullshit to justify what they do.
Well, I understand what you're meaning. Don't get me wrong. I understand what you mean. I agree. I just think that the language has become a barrier. I think that at the end of the day, especially with feminists, I think we could even agree that despite them being third wave extremists, whatever, they are the dominant part of feminism right now. I don't think that Christina Solmers represents the average feminist anymore. It's not our job. I'm
one of those. I'm one of those who actually doubt she ever was.
There you go. Well, you said what I was not comfortable saying then. Yeah.
I'm one of those who thinks she never was representative of feminism.
It's because it's so divorced from what feminism was.
Because the suffragettes had campaigns propagating loopholes through which women could use to get men into prison. They wanted to get more men into prison.
Oh yeah, in Latin America, look up the men beating women type of laws that you'll find. In specifically in the country from the Caribbean that I will not disclose, that I grew up half of my life living in. If a man hits a woman, if a woman calls and says this man hit me, he goes to jail, no questions asked.
What?
At least for 48 hours until things resolve themselves. And it's evidence doesn't matter. And what's been happening is because there's a lot of rural people, and there's a lot of there's primitive mindsets. When a man cheats on a woman, because keep in mind there is a machista, there is a chauvinist, there is a very male dominant ideology which I don't endorse, but it is there in Latin America. A very male male provider mentality. When a man cheats on a woman, there are a lot of women, not all of them, not the majority, but there are women who are, oh, he cheated on me, I'll just say he beat me as punishment. And he gets whiffed off to jail. And it's a huge issue because they don't know how to balance that law out. And that law was placed by, you guessed it, social justice beliefs that, we need to protect women. Okay, so we're going to put a law without thinking of the consequences. And that's what's, the law is being abused. And that's consequences. And that's what's going on in Latin America right now.
Well, about that, I have a link for you for later on. But the thing is, back to the whole saying it's using that kind of language is disingenuous. I disagree. That's a long topic. That's a topic that's for an entirely different occasion. But I disagree. I see that there are a lot of clear similarities between well, not all of social justice, but current feminism and Weimar Nazi.
Okay. I can agree there. Basically,
and one of the most common denominator.
So we can find a common ground. My whole thing is that I don't believe when you say extremist, what comes to mind is a small fringe group that doesn't represent the majority. I believe. That's what colloquially comes to mind. I don't think that's if it doesn't come to mind to you, you're not part of the average. But I think we can agree that's what most people think when you say the word extremist. At least in the United States, let's narrow it down even more. At least in the United States, when you say extremist, it's a small fringe that doesn't represent the majority. See for evidence the whole thing with Islam is Islam and terrorism. People. Say terrorists are a small fringe of Islam, and when Bill Maher said stuff like, it's enabled by the majority, they went apeshit. So I think that's proof that at least in the United States, they believe that extremists are a small fringe. I believe that social justice warriors are not a small fringe. I believe they are the dominant force in their respective ideologies like feminism.
I think an extremist, then I need to find a better word for it, but when I say extremist, an extremist group can also be a dominant force.
It can. I agree.
With the Soviet Union?
I agree.
Do you think the majority of Russians in the Soviet Union were rebels who were against the communist system? No, they loved it.
No, they were, and you can say the same about Nazi Germany in its early years as well. So, but again, I agree 100% with you there. I agree that's what the word should mean, but it's not what I think comes to mind to most people. I think language has been distorted. Excuse me?
What do you think should I use instead?
I think you should just refer to them as SJWs. I don't think they need a special label at this point. I don't think
because I think that we need something. There needs to be a word that makes it unmistakably clear they're up there with all the other three.
I am very comfortable calling them progressives, and when people like David Pacman get mad, I just say, look at the people representing you. If you don't like what I'm calling you, if you don't like me associating you with those people, remove those people or remove yourself. I call them progressives, flat out. I think that progressive is a fantastic label. It's not the same as liberal, but I do think that if we're putting on the real-time hat here, if we're going zero bullshit, I do think that the liberal spectrum in the United States in particular, when I say liberal, I mean, that's kind of liberal. I think it's been taken over by these people. These people are slowly but surely becoming the dominant force, similar to what happened to conservatism, that they were dominated. Conservatism wasn't always in the United States, and I think everybody here knows this, it wasn't always, crazy religious gun nuts. That group took over that particular ideology. And I think the same thing's happening with liberalism, and I think 5 years down the line, you'll be able to call them liberal. And it sucks because it automatically makes people think, oh, you're conservative. No, they're
what I mean is ever since the 40s, we have seen two more ideologies that are just as bad, just as volatile, just as negative as the commies and the Nazis, but they are new ones. So there needs to be a word, something unifying them, something making it unmistakably clear. Those are the same kinds of types. They just have, for instance, the demographic-oriented ones have different demographics they favor, or the economic-oriented ones have a different economic system that they favor, but they're still up there.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Yeah, we do need a word. And since you brought it up, in your honor, we're going to call them, tuxedo white kitties. That's what we're referring to those ideologies. Tuxedo white kitties. That's how we do it.
Perfect.
Something back on topic with the meta game is I think we have to build up something new. But I think we should look for ways to accelerate that. To encourage a lot of gators to get into making content themselves. Reviewing games, talking about games, playing games, everything. You got into it in the course of Gamergate, for instance. That's why I thought you were a good example.
Actually, to be completely honest, it was my plan before Gamergate started, because if you look at my Twitch streams, which I started long before Gamergate and stopped before it even started, I felt that there was a big change coming in the industry. I had no idea it was going to be this, but I felt that a huge change was coming, and it's why I thought it was the best time for me to finally follow the dream. But yeah,
I'm thinking I should start. I start with writing instead. And get into videos later.
I think everybody should, who has any inclination, should actually start, become a blogger. I mean,
yes, I really think yes, exactly. I think I know that some might first say, well, you're jumping on a bandwagon. Yes, I'm jumping on a bandwagon. I'm not sorry about that, and I think others should too. And we should find a way to encourage as many as possible to do that.
Again, and it's a perfect time because there's going to be a gap. There's going to be, when all these people burn, we're going to need something to read, and we're going to need something to play. I mean.
And I'm wondering, what would you suggest? How do we encourage as many people as possible to get into blogging, videos, everything?
Well, the first thing, it's kind of, people immediately would go, what, when I say that? But I think the factions in Gamergate can turn out to be a good thing. These people who've met each other, who've become friends, who've networked. That's networking to its core. These people who've gotten together, they should start building things together. Everybody has their own inclinations, have their own skills. Some people like to talk way too much, like myself. Monetize that and put it into a good use. I create, and it's not, again, it's the best time ever. For example, I founded a website, and it didn't cost me as much as many people think. It wasn't necessarily cheap, but I founded a website with Ilenka Draws, who's my girlfriend. We founded a website, and it's there, and I promote it. I think what people should do, and it's linked with what's going on now, I think people should follow their passions. A lot of people are especially today because of economic times, are simply, getting a job and sticking to it. You can follow your passion. Anybody can make a game. You don't have to be a programmer. The tools that I love, Construct, you don't have to know zero programming skills to use. And Unity is overrated, the amount of coding that you actually need. You can get the scripts, you can download most scripts for free, and you can create a game without a single line of code written by yourself. So, I think what people need to do is that they need to start taking that first step. Upload that first YouTube video, write that first blog, and if it doesn't become good. How do we push it? How do we encourage it?
Yes, how do we push it?
By talking about it. It is the best thing we can do. Talking about it, retweeting people, creating stuff like Operation Skynet, getting people in contact, creating an audience and putting it in front of people, which is what we've already done. But at the end of the day, we can't do more than that. I mean, if you see a blogger who on Gamergate, retweet it. Even if you don't like the content too much, retweet it because someone may like it. But at the end of the day, it has to come from each and every one of us. There's nothing we
Because
can as a group.
What I hope that happens
push.
is that out of this a large pool of bloggers and YouTubers and everything, small name, no e-celebs. They start off as just people uploading shitty videos,
Yeah,
or
it
making
should happen.
and out of a large pool gradually a
Yeah,
few crystallize
exactly.
out that are enough in numbers and quality to then found a site and start replacing.
It's all down to networking. It's all, if you met somebody you like in Gamergame, you both have similar ideas, make a video together. I mean, just fucking play any game. I mean, for fuck's sakes, even get Call of Duty if you're into that, and play that together, and insult each other a little bit. God, everybody hates that game, but everybody loves watching people, yell at each other while playing. So again, that'll get you views, and at the end of the day, it's something that has to come from everyone. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it in Gamergate. It's happening. I mean,
Yes.
I started my YouTube channel based off of it.
Gaming in Progress, and so on. You're the pioneers right now, and I think a lot more people should jump on the bandwagon.
I do think, however, and this needs to be pointed out, and it goes with the future of Gamergate, I think we need to be very careful with YouTubers. I think we need to remain very much vigilant, because I see, and I'm not popular when I say this, I see the same problem with. If we analyze what happened with journos, part of the blame is with us. We didn't stay vigilant. We allowed them to become what they are. So we are partially to blame, and everyone hates me when I say that, because it's true. The same thing, we have to remain vigilant with YouTubers. And it goes back to what you said, e-celebs. We have to be very careful with following, e-celebs and endorsing e-celebs despite of whatever. This is the time of remaining vigilant of YouTubers, unless we want YouTube Gate to happen 2 or 3 years down the line, and it will. It will. I mean, the paid promotion was a flag. Was a warning flag. It's not horrible. It's not bad. It's not unrepairable, but it's a sign.
Why don't we just ask him to disclose them afterwards?
Here's the thing I have with paid promotion.
That he took. Why doesn't he just disclose them if they're already known?
Who?
TB.
Oh no, TB doesn't. TB, to my knowledge, doesn't have any undisclosed.
Oh, okay.
I said Angry Joe. Angry Joe, not TB.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Angry Joe had it. If that's what you guys got from it, no. Angry Joe has undisclosed shit, and we know because of TB.
Okay.
It's videos that they did
still
together on TV. No, TB. I disagree with TB on a lot of things, but that guy did it right. He writes sponsored in the title. He fucking puts it everywhere. That should happen. But you want to solve that problem on one fell swoop? YouTubers should disclose how much they make. That's my big thing. Why? Because a lot of people go, why would you want to know? YouTuber is now a profession, and it is the only profession on this planet that I cannot get an average on. I can tell you, I worked as a radio frequency engineer, for example. You guys can, in 10 seconds, in the Caribbean, you guys can, in 10 seconds, go on Google and get me a rough estimate of what I made. You can do that right now. You cannot do that with YouTubers.
The question also is just with the whole idea of getting an average or getting some sort of idea of what sort of money YouTubers make. There's such a large divide on YouTube between those that actually make a living and those that don't. I think we need to figure out exactly what qualifies as a YouTuber. I mean, I'm putting a video on YouTube right now as we speak. Am I now a YouTuber? I don't think I am.
Strictly speaking, yes.
But I'm not making money off this.
You're probably not
monetize it?
a professional YouTuber. But
Do you
you're a
monetize it? Is the question?
No, I don't monetize.
Then no, you're not relevant because you can't make money. If the second you hit that monetize button, yes, you are monetizing. You immediately, and that's a disconnect. I have an audience. I have subscribers. I have about almost 400 subs, and I get about 600 to 700 views on my video. I have an audience. I can be held accountable. It doesn't matter that my audience is insignificant when compared to Total Biscuit. I should be able to be held accountable. I am putting out a product that people are consuming, even if it's a couple of people.
I was just curious as to where you put the boundary yourself.
I put no boundary at all. But to me, I think you should be disclosed. And if we want to make it easier, I think if you're going to do a paid promotion, you should disclose how much you make. Because the justification, and here's why I say it, the justification of all these paid promotion, what a lot of YouTubers said is, well, we don't make as much money as we used to. So we need paid promotions. Well, let me be the judge if you need paid promotions. If these people are earning 6 digits a year, as some of them are, Boogie, I think Boogie disclosed that he made like 100,000, something like that, last year. Don't quote me, but he did disclose an amount, and I think PewDiePie disclosed something as well. But I should be able to judge if you're not making enough money and that you need to do paid promotions.
Okay.
And like for example, and taking Andrew Joe as an example, and it's getting insistent now that I keep taking him as an example, and I apologize. But to me, it's the easiest one to because it's the one I have the most grasp over. I should know how much he makes, and then and if it justifies having a 2 or 3 to 1 ratio from paid promotions to reviews. I think as a consumer, that's something that we should know. If he needs paid promotion that badly, I should know how much he makes.
Yeah.
I see that.
At least the ballpark.
I see that argument. Shall we move on from that? Because, jeez.
Is this our last topic?
This will be one of the last ones. Yeah. This will be the last full topic that we're probably going to cover.
Okay.
I'll save the other ones for next week because this is getting.
Okay.
We're running quite a bit
Sorry.
over. No worries. It's good. It's good stuff. It's just there's so much of it. I'd love to have you on again, man. It's great having you on. But on to the last full topic that we're going to be doing, I think. We're going to be talking about Google and the fact that they tweeted a pro-Gamergate tweet. I don't think anyone would argue that it isn't pro-Gamergate. And then fairly soon afterwards deleted it and then tweeted out saying that they were against Gamergate. Now...
No, not against, just not supporting.
Well, yeah, not
supporting doesn't mean against.
Yeah, but it was pretty mean because it was like we don't support it and we are for diversity, implying that Gamergate is not.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, that's the thing.
When the first tweet was actually saying we're for diversity and video games, #Gamergate, the first one was saying that Gamergate is diversity.
The future of gaming is in your hands. #Gamergate.
But if you look at the image, if you look at the picture, and this is why I bring up the diversity thing, the picture that they linked with that tweet, it's a video game controller, and on the left there's a female hand, and on the right there's a male hand.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought the diversity angle into it, because they are subtly saying that Gamergate is for diversity, which...
Yeah.
Not just that.
Is, in a way.
Not just that. I still want to bear the tinfoil hat here.
Go ahead.
Because I still have the tinfoil hat theory that even beyond just that one community manager, in secret, people up in Google are on our side.
I would agree with that statement.
I don't even think
for
that's
one,
a tinfoil necessary.
Yeah.
For one, because at any
conspiracy
time,
theories are really bad, man. I mean, you keep saying things that are very plausible.
at any point in time, the one reason is at any point in time throughout all of Gamergate, they could have killed us within days if they wanted to.
They could have killed us in a single day if they wanted to. They could have very easily
and they never
done that.
did. And the other reason
is my. I don't think they really care.
The other reason is that community manager, that tweet. They made the tweet, and then Anti-Gamergate ran after them, and then they posted a retraction with the hashtag, and that's important because the anti-Gamergaters at every opportunity they get don't touch the hashtag with a 10-foot pole. They'll go into the hashtag and tweet at people using the hashtag, but they'll do anything they can to not post it themselves.
Unless your name is Sarah Butts, then you use the hashtag. But go on.
Well, yes, that's what I mean. They want to divert any attention they can away from Gamergate. So they don't touch the hashtag with a 10-foot pole, but that community manager with that tweet kept the hashtag in the tweet, even in the retraction.
Do you think that's maybe just they didn't think about it in that way? They just wanted to put the retraction in and maybe rushed it without thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe what it is when you're talking about they left the hashtag in. I think it was just they were rushing the message out and they put in the hashtag because
that's what disappoints me. That's specifically what bothers me. I mean, again, and it also I think it also speaks to I don't know how to pronounce your name, so Senor Kitty here is
Lots of gators just call me Senor Gato.
Oh, Señor Gato. Okay, El Gato. So, you know, it goes to what he was talking about. I think, first of all, I think that SJWs are much more entrenched in culture than I would like to admit. Because my question is, why would the most powerful company that it's not even a company anymore, it's an overlord that sees us when we sleep. Why would the most powerful entity in the world fear these people to the point that he'd have to retract? I mean, why would Google give a fuck? Is my question.
I'd like to post a theory. I'd like to post a theory as to why they give a fuck, and I'd also like to. I don't think SJWs are as numerous as they claim to be, and I don't think they're as numerous as you think they are. What I think is they have the media's ear.
I think they have more power than we want to. Not numbers, power.
Yes, they do have the power.
They're very little.
And that's the main issue that we are having. They have the power, and a lot of people, as you said previously, don't want to get educated. So they're hearing, I don't know, what the Huffington Post is saying about Gamergate, and they're hearing about what BBC is saying about Gamergate, and, angry misogynists. So that's the message they're going to have in their head. Now, if John Doe down the road happens to be on Twitter and sees that tweet and sees the name Gamergate, he's going to affiliate it with the Huffington Post thing he read last week, or the BBC radio article he was listening to in the car, and he's going to think that Google is supporting misogynists, and that's why they retracted it. It was a PR thing more than them getting yelled at.
But the fact that they need to do PR on it is what scares the shit out of me.
Yes, I understand.
Because again, Google is the most powerful entity in the world. If they have to do PR shit to apaciguate social justice warriors, then we're dealing with a much bigger beast than any of us even dared to dream that was actually going on. I mean, again, I've always thought that this is bigger than gaming, and I think me and Senor Gato can agree with that. But to the extent of the kind of power that they have, that they make Google bend the knee, that scares the shit out of me personally.
They didn't actually make Google bend the knee per se. I did see a screenshot.
The fact that Google had to respond is enough.
No, Google had to respond.
There was a person that was either affiliated Google or employed by Google that was talking to Amib and I think someone else that talked to Google to ask them to remove the tweet, and they did. And I have a strong suspicion that it was because of that person, because
Google doesn't do things just because somebody asks and says, okay, whatever, fuck it. I mean, Google doesn't retract things that easily, is my guess, is what I suspect. Simply by comparing them to other multi-million-dollar companies is what I'm getting at. I do think it's something we should be worried about. And the fact that they had to make any response, and the key word here is had to. They had to make any response. Even if they were asked, that Google would do anything, because anybody, if we put it into its softest term, that somebody asked, please do this, and they did it. Just the fact that that group has access to be able to ask that and get it from them, that still scares the shit out of me.
Well, yes, we are seeing the attempted emergence of a regime. We shouldn't delude ourselves out of not thinking that. We are faced with ideologues who want to build up a regime, because a lot of their stuff wouldn't hold up.
Now we're talking. That's what I want to hear people saying.
But the thing is, when you talk to even regime loyal people, they'll say that that's just conspiracy theory stuff.
Because it sounds so big, it sounds so dangerous, but it is. That's the whole thing. It absolutely is, and we should be scared shitless. We should be is what I'm getting at. We should absolutely.
Well, not scared, but dedicated and aware.
Scared. Absolutely scared and wanting to prevent this. This is something to fear, in my opinion. Something to fear and to react. I mean, again, when you can only be brave when you're scared, is what I'm getting at. I know what you mean. Like, don't be scared. Is I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to quit in a corner. No. The only way we can be brave is when we're scared, and we should be scared right now, and we should be taking action against this shit, because this shit is huge, and I think a lot of people haven't grasped that part yet. I don't think I've grasped it entirely. I don't think anyone's really grasped how big this is and how deep the rabbit hole goes. And that is what, makes me very nervous when thinking about giving these people an inch, and it's why I'm so anti-negotiating with these people. I don't want to bring anti-GG to the table, frankly. I don't want to do it. I want them to burn.
I'd say I don't want to bring all of anti-GG to the table. Most of them, even.
I would agree with that. Some of them, I think, are worth talking to.
The ones that have been brainwashed is different than the ones that control it. When I say anti-GG, I mean the people controlling it. I don't want to bring them to the table. I don't want to talk to Brianna Wu. I do not want to negotiate with Brianna Wu. I don't want to negotiate with Anita Sarkeesian. I don't want to negotiate with Ben Kuchera. Those people need to burn and go away. The people who've been, blue-pilled by them, if red pill is a term, I guess blue pill is one too. The people who've been blue-pilled, them I can talk to an extent. To an extent, because some of them have been blue-pilled beyond rationality. And they're lost cause. Some of them have become lost cause. And I hate saying that, but I feel strongly that some of them will fight us to the death, metaphorically.
But some of the brainwashed ones too, not just those that benefit.
Right, yeah, the brainwashed ones is what I'm talking about. Some of them have been brainwashed to the point that you just can't fix them anymore.
Because, for instance, Georgie Tate is going to fight us to the death, even if it becomes socially acceptable to criticize social justice.
Oh yeah, no, he doesn't give a shit.
No, but I think he's a great example of someone who was brainwashed. I don't think he's the leader of that pack. I think he's been brainwashed into believing it. And I don't think.
I hope he's not fucking the leader of it, because if he's a leader of it, that means there's other people out there that believe.
That means we're going into furnaces soon. That's what that means.
Yeah, and I'd rather not. I mean, I like life. I like oxygen.
I'm fond of it.
I'm going to say it like this. Back in the day, not all of NatSoc agreed that the Jews should be put in the oven. There's a reason why the deportation happened before the extermination. Not all of them agreed that they should just kill all the Jews. That came later. First, in the beginning, there were just a few who said that, like Geordie Tate, for instance. It only was later than broadly accepted. And what we have to watch out is if their types are allowed to proceed too far, that's going to grow. The Geordie Tates are going to be there in the masses. This sounds hyperbolic to you, but guess what? People in the past thought people in the past thought that kind of stuff is hyperbolic too.
The logic behind it is it's sound and clear. It is sound. It is clear. A lot of people think it's sensationalist, and I know that's what you're alluding to. But the logic behind it is exactly that. I mean, for fuck's sakes, know your history or you're going to be repeating it. And this looks a shit ton, a lot, like post-World War One. This looks a lot like it. So I don't know, man. It's
because one of the jokes. One of the funny things I only found that out much later, very recently. One of the jokes is on the right there was the nationalists back in the day, but on the left there was the communists and the Spartacus Union, and now in the States on the right they have the Spartacus Union again with similar ideas. It's That's why
American left is starting to look like, at least not the faces. The only saving grace that the U.S. in particular has, Canada's doomed, but the United States has, is that the faces that they're putting out there are still not the SJW people. Give it 2 elections, after Hillary wins and dies, that's the one that's when SJWs are really going to become mainstream, if they ever become mainstream. Hopefully.
Yes, the general message I'm hoping to get across is.
But the only saving grace left in the U.S. has right now is that the faces, the one that control, the one.
Julia, you might want to check your mic. You're cutting in and out.
That have the money.
You might want to check your mic real quick. You're cutting in and out.
You're having.
I thought my internet was having issues, and I guess
not.
No,
I was hearing that too.
Usually it is my internet. The farthest side of the house.
You have some sort of not broadband issue, but it's the kind of, it sounds like when people have lag.
Mm. basically, I think I can sum up what he's saying. He's saying that he thinks Hitler was right, and
Oh, what? Wait, what?
No.
I'm joking. Don't worry. I'm just taking the piss while he can't retort.
can't you can't even hear that. That's the thing. Could he even hear that?
I
hear
understand
me
when
well
some
now?
people are hesitant. Yes, now
There
Yeah,
we
you
go.
sound fine. You sound fine.
I heard that, by the way.
No,
Oh.
I didn't say nothing. I'm innocent.
Nuremberg Trials Part 2.
You had a sock puppet saying it.
But yeah,
Free to
Oh
make
yeah,
the knife
you
shield
can't be
hash
held
tool.
responsible.
yeah, I can't be held responsible for what my mic picks up.
Yeah, I can't be held responsible for what I say. I'm sorry. That's just how it works.
Yep.
The
that's
Phil Fish picture that you have on your thing just creeps the shit out of me every time you talk. I've been thinking that for 2 hours, and it's like, is no one really gonna
This
say
is a
it?
fake movie poster someone made.
Oh damn it! I was just gonna
creepy
go
as
like, wait,
fuck,
what Phil
man.
Fish, and make you think you were just seeing Phil Fish around the place.
Oh, okay.
That's just some creepy shit. By the way, is Phil Fish still alive? Is he still being a DJ?
Yes,
He's
of
a
course he's
DJ
still
now.
alive.
He's a DJ now.
Oh wait, no, he DJ'd one party. Is he still? Is there
I
anything?
don't know. I don't know.
He DJ'd one party. I've DJ'd one party if we're going to do that. Granted,
He's
it was
probably staying below the radar because
He has no
being
talent?
above the radar would, well, that too, but being above the radar would put him under a lot of fire. I mean, first of all, there was the Bigger Fish to Fry that was re-uploaded, and the interview with Alistair Pinsoff. You know, the best stories are stolen.
Yeah, which is what the poster is based off of.
Is anyone shocked? Is my question.
Actually,
I'm
I was
shocked.
surprised when I saw him DJing, simply because I've never seen a man ever look so broken. He just looked broken, and I had a moment of sadness for him, and then I remembered
didn't.
his
Fuck him.
tweets, and then I didn't.
Fuck him. Fuck that guy. I didn't feel sad for him at all. But isn't it a surprise that Tim Schafer was handling the last known check of Phil Fish? Is there any fucking surprise there? That's how it's going to go. The money, they're going to start passing it around because no one's going to hire them anymore. I mean, Tim Schafer's career is over. Phil Fish's career, he never really had a career. His best ideas were stolen.
He had one game, and that was it.
Yeah, I didn't even buy it.
And Human
Before-
Centipede.
I think we still have time for one more topic.
But wait, I just want to put it out there. Before I heard about the whole fish thing, I was actually wanting to buy Fez. Like, I was like, yeah, I think I'm
I
gonna buy
own it.
Fez.
I fucking own it. That's.
I
Oh.
do as well. I've hidden it in my Steam library. I don't.
I've never played it. I bought it off like this. I think I didn't even buy it on Steam. I went on this Humble Bundle and it was there.
Well, yeah, it's been in so many
I
humble
think something like
bundles.
that.
I think that's how a majority of people own it now. Well, I was going to have you do your shout outs, Mozia, and then that would be it. End on the
okay.
8chan shout outs, because
Oh, the 8chan shoutouts. Oh, right, the 8chan
Yes.
shoutouts.
the 8chan shout outs.
There is a thing
The 8chan shout outs.
that we should look into,
Mhm.
as many as possible, and that is this. Come on, load it.
And
Here we
here-
are.
Yeah,
Zip.
link it in the. Yeah, here we go.
What is that?
In the,
I don't know. Clicky, clicky. Let's
I
find
also
out.
have.
Unemployed insurance and Patreon.
I also have.
Ah,
I
yes.
also have an archive of it, but you should make archives of your own.
So for those listening, what we're looking at right now is, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the Randy Harper, in income fraud, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh.
So this is.
Somebody give me the full story on that. I have not. That's the
Okay,
one story
okay.
I haven't caught up on.
I want to be the one.
Be the one.
So you know that Randy Harper got lost her job, right?
Yeah, and I know she started
And-
a new thing with Zoe Quinn.
Yes, you know the of all the people, the anti-online abuse the online abuse prevention thing
The irony.
site that is also being paid by someone by someone other than herself, and and she's on welfare, gets income through the site. I've forgotten from whom, but someone is. And she's getting money from her Patreon. I mean, 4-digit money.
So that's fraud.
So,
Yep.
there is obviously a
Patreon's in
violation
4
of the law
digits
here and there.
already?
Sorry, what was that?
She said she's already in the 4 digits already, like in
Her
disbelief.
Patreon's at 4 digits?
Yes, her Patreon is 2.5 thousand.
Jeez. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, that's definitely not that's definitely not unemployed. I don't know what you think that is, but that is definitely not
She
unemployed.
earns more than I do a month. I wish I was fucking unemployed like that.
Just buy a hair
She
glue.
makes
Just buy a
$13,000 a year. And did you see her setup? She has like 3 monitors with one of them going sideways, probably for Twitter or something. And
I
she
was
has,
set up by that.
Oh, well.
I guess
I
I
have a
have to
laptop.
go dye my hair blue now.
White
And if that there is a person in that thread that I guess is either a supporter of Randy or Randy herself, but whoever it is, it seems to be important. Someone seems to care that that people don't file these claims of violation, and that would be probably something that we should look into, and that as many as possible should report.
If Randy
Because-
Harper ends up in jail because of Gamergate, and they have to make special uniform for her, it's a fat joke for those who didn't get it. It's a fat joke. And they have to make like a special uniform and get a special cell for her, and force her to actually lose the blue hair. If Gamergate achieves that, I mean that's it for me. That's it. I mean we don't have to achieve anything else. That is ultimate victory for me. That is like
I think the
I'll
movement
fucking
would
make that
crumble
my
at that
screensaver. I mean,
No,
Any
what I mean
hopes?
is in the long term, my suspicion is that would be a boost for Gamergate because
that would scare the shit out of SJWs. That would
First of
say
all,
we
I
are
didn't
willing
think
to
of
put
that.
you fuckers in jail. I mean,
But,
that would end
um,
it.
that
But-
would like ruin. That would destroy any opposition that we have. That'd be like
That would
I
end
don't wanna-
Illegal
I don't wanna do this.
opposition. Any illegal opposition who know they're doing illegal shit will immediately
They're all
back down.
fucking doing illegal shit at this
And-
point. I mean, come on.
What, a lot of them are, but the thing is, look, what I mean is this: if it even becomes so much as an issue, if so much as an as a state made accusation is made towards her, if it even gets that far, this is going to trigger controversy in circles outside of Gamergate. A woman is in danger of being put into jail and victimized. Of all the sites, what I hope that affects is Reddit, that it spawns discussion on Reddit that the Reddit cancer can't censor.
Oh, they've proven they can censor pretty much anything, so shadow bans would
And-
happen.
It would weaken
They
Reddit
shadow ban
and allow for them
Assange.
to, at a later point, have an exodus.
I mean, Reddit's already on the way for the exodus. That's going to happen
Definitely.
anyway. When the shadow bans thing became public, that was the end of Reddit.
You remember when somebody asked Julian Assange about Gamergate and they got shadow banned right in front of Julian? You remember that?
It rings a bell, but I can't say I put my finger on it right now.
Well, basically he
I
had
think it
like
does.
he had like an AMA on Reddit.
Yeah, and he got like banned right there.
No, someone asked him a question about Gamergate. did.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, "This person's gone in front of my eyes. Oh my god, is this real life?" I
Someone
remember that.
pointed it out to him, and like seriously, they must have had some balls to do that.
I think it's just that they're just that retarded. I don't think it's nuts. I think they're just that stupid. That's, to me, where it goes. And that's the whole thing with SJWs. It's not that they're brave. It's just they're that stupid.
Yeah. That at that point, that's just stupidity.
Wait, I missed the context. I was reading something.
Well,
Yeah,
what's
Randy
the
Harper
stupidity?
can go to jail. She won't
Yeah.
go to jail though. We don't
no, she'll probably get fined. She'll probably get a fine, and that'll be that. But it's legal action, and it's a criminal record. So
Yeah.
And she's being victimized.
yeah,
Probably the victimization is going to just go as far as a policeman asking her to pay a fine, but still,
It's something. It's something.
Well,
That's
keep in
gonna make people
mind,
talk.
these people, according to Brianna Wu, have direct access to the president. So I don't know what you guys, are going to do about it. But Obama is going to come out with blue hair, according to these
Mr.
people.
President, it's me again, Brianna.
He's a fan of Revolution 60, by the way.
Wait, he is? No.
It's a joke. It's a joke. He doesn't concern
Okay.
himself with that level of
Now,
stupidity.
Obama only caters so much as he has to in order to keep the Democratic voters. That's really the really feminist president is
Burn.
Hillary Clinton.
I don't want Hillary Clinton as
Hillary
president.
Clinton is not a feminist. I'm sorry, that chick is way too. I mean, Hillary Clinton is less liberal than Obama.
Hillary Clinton is a strange beast. I don't know.
She's a rich chick who's. I actually called Hillary Clinton a chick. She's a rich businesswoman who puts money first, who's the wife of the most loved liberal president alive.
I don't know.
Alive.
I'm just gonna say right now, I don't know what kind of system you guys are running over there, but you have some weird politicians.
Yeah.
I'll stay over here.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Then again, we have
someone
Boris
who's
Johnson.
because I currently live in Europe, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So I'm here with you guys. I'm checking out what you got. I'm not that impressed. I thought I was going to find more. I'm not that impressed.
Come over to Manchester and eat some Greggs.
I've been dying to go to Britain, to be honest. I've been dying. By the way, did Scotland separate from you guys?
No.
Try to. We clawed it
I know
back.
That would have been a
Did-
huge deal.
We clawed it back. We yelled at them, and then they said, okay.
So you bought them out.
Shush.
Okay.
Essentially, what it came down to is the separation would have been too expensive.
Yeah.
And,
Britain, are you ready to lose another country?
It's,
well, quite honestly, in many ways, I'm an imperialist. I think the British Empire should rise again. It brings so many benefits across the world. Has in the past.
I'm British, and can I just say we have Boris Johnson? You don't want Boris Johnson in charge of anything. So no, we don't want the British Empire to rise again.
Hey, if we're going to be inclusive and we're going to talk all that shit, I think it's either Latin America's turn or China's turn to rule it. Well, wait, China already rules.
Well, I for one accept our new Chinese overlords.
What about
Ni hao,
America?
motherfucker.
Not
That's
yet.
what you got to say.
The Chinese are communist as of yet.
I don't think the Chinese are communists, but if we're going to do real talk here, they don't seem like as a people, they don't seem to have the same ambition as other communist / extreme socialist countries have had historically speaking. They don't strike me as the people who want to impose China everywhere. I mean, they're perfectly fine having us by the balls economically, is what I'm saying. They really don't have a fucking problem dominating from the shadows. I don't see them as, like, for example, if you take Soviet Russia or you take, like, if you take Marxism and what it became in general, they wanted to turn everybody into the Red Army. Well, not the Red Army, but a Mother Russia. They wanted everybody to be like that.
I think you're underestimating that. The Chinese are pushing where they can to get the borders further and further out.
Yeah, but the way globalization has worked, I mean, let's face it. The only people more American than Americans are fucking people in Asia. I mean, Japan, fucking Hong Kong. I mean, have you seen all those places? They're like extremely fucking twisted versions of New York in many cases.
Really?
I mean,
I'm not really getting it.
They're so entrenched in American culture. I mean, they find it so fascinating that I don't see,
honest,
like,
I don't really see much of a culture in America, and I'm American.
What I mean is the entire culture of, like, well, look, take the parallel of like Europe for a second. Where I come from, in my side of the world, McDonald's is dog shit. I mean, people stay away from that crap. Granted, Americans will eat anything, but in America in general, Latin America, everybody knows, McDonald's, you eat that shit when you don't have enough money. Here in Europe, I mean, I've gone to the McDonald's here, they're fucking fancy, and people are like, it's a big fucking deal. It's like, oh, McDonald's, let's go eat to the McDonald's, and I'm like, what? you guys have better food. What are you doing? And it's like a big deal. The whole-
McDonald's and American fast food in general is kind of the stuff that you go to eat when you're hanging around in a group. You know, when
it's very much and you know and you guys have better food in general in Europe is what I'm going to say, but it's very much like American stuff is very glorified is what I've seen, and I don't and according to what I've never gone to Asia, but I have multiple friends who have, and what they tell me is that over there it's you see a lot of bits and pieces of American culture been appropriated and extremed. You get it? It's like again, with the McDonald's example. I mean, they also love fucking McDonald's, and I'm using the McDonald's example because it's easy, but there's more stuff. So I don't see
over here.
them.
KFC is a big thing too.
Yeah, it's like Kentucky. Like, are you sick? What? Kentucky Fried? That shit ain't even chicken. I mean, do you see how they grow those motherfuckers? That's not chicken.
You got to admit, it tastes good.
Well, yeah, but it isn't what it tastes like is the problem. Okay,
it tastes good, but it's like
they
bacon.
grow those
flavored
chickens
crisps.
without beaks and feathers. I mean, it's just like these mutated fucking slob versions of chickens that you're putting in your mouth.
The thing is, I don't have some religion or other belief that obliges me to not eat certain animals. So as long as it's not a human,
religion is bullshit and it's bad for you. But it's not a religious thing. It's just that shit ain't a chicken, is what I'm telling you. You're not eating a chicken. You're eating a thing.
Yes, but yes. The thing is, it's not about whether I know. It's whether I care.
Oh. Uh-huh.
No, that's that there is a case for that. I mean, there also is a case for ignoring cancer, but I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
So what you're saying is KFC is cancer.
No, I'm not saying KFC is cancer. I'm just saying that you may or may not get a third testicle from it. It's all I'm
Dude, I've always wanted a third testicle. Perfect.
In my opinion,
until you think about it.
in America, the hierarchy of fast food is McDonald's is the bottom and Arby's and Subway's at the top. That's my opinion.
No. Arby's was at the top until Jon Stewart destroyed it.
Who's at the top now?
An American fast food? I don't know. I haven't been in the States in years. So
well, I'd say that my favorites that are fairly good, Wendy's.
Wendy's is good everywhere. Wendy's is good. We have Wendy's in Dominican Republic.
Bojangles is like KFC, but for Southern people.
Man,
And that's
Bojangles always struck me as weird. It's a stripper club name. Why does it sell food?
they're fast food restaurants.
But why does it sounds like a strip club. Hey,
Yes,
I'm gonna go see
because
at Bojangles.
to me that's probably different because you don't live in Southern United States. I do. It sounds nothing like a stripper club.
It kind of sounds like Dingleberry if you think about it. Dingleberry. I thought it was the same thing when you said it there for a second.
No.
You eat Dingleberries? What? That's
But
nasty.
basically, it's basically Southern KFC. It's fairly different. They
I keep
sell
saying
a
that,
variety.
and the fun part is that KFC was supposed to be Southern when it was made. Like, that was supposed to be. You keep saying it's Southern KFC, and I'm like, wow, the KFC has fallen really deep. But
Well, the thing is, it's like mashed potatoes, biscuits.
what do they sell at KFC, man? They sell
They sell the same thing, but it doesn't feel as Southern.
I
forgot
briefly. I forgot briefly that your biscuits are different to my biscuits.
Yeah,
ours are real biscuits. Yours are
Ours
like
are
cookies
real.
and shit.
yeah.
I'm English. I came up with the English language. You were all wrong.
Whatever.
But,
I win.
if you stretch it that far, I'm English too.
Yeah. Well, if we stretch it that far, then we could go back to like first whatchamacallit, Norse. It was Norse, wasn't it? Originally, where the English language came from.
The ironic thing, Kelvin, is
No. English came from a language in like north of Germany and south of Denmark, in like that area.
and it had a bit of Latin added in.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say
Later,
it had
Latin
heavily
came in.
influenced with Latin.
When English first existed, it looked more like Danish.
Well,
yeah, I've heard that.
Kelvin, what I find always kind of in terms of accents, I always find kind of confusing. I sound kind of English, don't I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Aren't you
you
English?
sound Southern English.
I thought you were English.
Me too.
My British part is actually half Scottish, half Welsh, and from
So
the
wait a
accent,
minute, where are you from? Because I keep thinking that
actually-
you're talking to me from London or some kind of show like London.
and
or
actually
something.
from the accents, you'd guess that Kelvin is the northern or the Welsh.
Okay, so you're from London.
I
No,
sound
I'm from
Welsh.
Germany.
Oh, you're German.
No, I'm not German. I'm from I live in Germany, but I'm not
Oh,
German.
okay. Okay, that
Wow.
explains why you know German. Okay, at the
Yeah.
beginning of the stream when you use the yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains it. So you're not German, but you are British.
Yes,
Okay, so okay.
but I'm also Swiss.
Basically, he's a bit of everything.
Yes.
But you know when
what I
Tumblr,
meant is
you know when Tumblr goes on about cultural appropriation? Mozzie is cultural appropriation.
I don't know if I should be
Appropriate.
offended or triggered or both. Is what I'm trying to figure out.
The funny thing is,
appropriation on genetic level.
isn't Swiss's natural languages Italian, German, French, and
German. German is the
German.
official language.
oh, I thought it had more than
It has
of
one
the-
official language, but there's 4 languages.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
What? That's no. Stop.
How do you think they do official stuff? Do you think they have all government documents, everything in 4 languages?
Yes.
No.
Where?
It's
Where? I'm sorry, I
Europe.
got
It's
lost. Where?
weird. I mean, that's what I would expect because there's so many
Well,
languages.
Ireland has to do that. Ireland is like all official documents in Irish and in English because they're weird like that.
That must be a pain
What
in the
about
arse.
in Belgium, like in Brussels? There's the Flanders and the Wallonians.
Or
like, don't-
an example, India, hundreds of languages, but the official language is English.
Yeah.
Documents are in English.
That's because of you British people.
We chilled. Yeah. This stream really has gone off topic.
Yeah. What
We're
were
not
we
talking
talking
fast
about?
food and languages.
How did we get to this?
Whatever. It's the end of the stream, so
The
whatever.
thing is that you guys finished the topics, and now we started.
Now we shit talk.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Well deserved.
But
Yeah.
yes,
I don't mind. I mean, the Andro stream started, by the way. I mean, I think
Oh,
it
yeah.
was-
Well,
Okay.
we'll shut this down so that people can go check
Yeah,
that
the
out.
four.
Check
four
out that
people
stream.
watching this.
I think I'm going
Yes,
to be
they-
on it. I'm not
check out
sure.
the Android stream.
Anyway, that's it from us. I think. I don't think there's anything else we need to say.
Can I do the
America
shameless
is
plug?
superior and Britain isn't as good. I think that's what you wanted to clarify.
God, that picture, man. I mean, I can't. It's like I turn my head and that's the first thing I-
The thing is, the head on the original, he made the he
It
edited
looks
the picture 'cause
perfect.
the
That's
head.
what bothers me. It's creepy.
No,
as
the thing,
shit.
the funny thing is, like when the person first made the picture, he edited it after putting it on Twitter. He said, "I made the head smaller because the big head looked obscene," and I told him, "No, don't do that. The big head looks perfect." And he was like, "Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep the big head."
Yep.
Well, I mean,
matches
look at the
big
jacket and how it's like he has a shirt that's longer than the jacket, and
Yeah.
it's just I can imagine Phil Fish wearing that shit. That's what. And it's I'm sitting like at my desk and I'm looking out the window while I talk, and then I turn my head and that's like the first shit I always every time. It's fucking creepy, man. It's 11 o'clock here.
But I love
quiet,
it.
and It's
It's
creepy as
great.
fuck, man.
You'd be like, that is actually Phil. That wasn't actually photoshopped. That's Phil Fish. He lost his
Yeah.
mind. Decided to go after people with a chainsaw.
I mean, if you would put a cuck in his mouth, then I'd say, yeah, that's definitely.
just make sure it's Leigh Alexander's cock. And you're good.
Wow.
Wait, huh?
That doesn't
See,
make
that was an
sense.
insult to 2 of them.
You had so
Two
many.
for
You
one,
had
I
so many trans women to take for that joke. You
Oh, I
took-
thought
and
I'd
you
go
took
for a new
real
one.
woman.
I thought I'd go for a new one. It's a new ground. Yeah. Anyway,
No,
that's
I think at this point it would be a good opportunity to do the shilling, and then
Oh yeah,
go.
Shameless Shill. If anyone has anything you want to promote or say is awesome, I'd suggest doing it now. So we'll start with Julio. What do you do, and where can people find you?
Well, as I said at the beginning, I do a lot of shit. Mainly indie, aspiring indie dev and comedy / comedian. I guess that would be the thing. I am the co-founder of www.manamonger.com, and I run my YouTube channel, Verilo, same name, and Twitter, Verilo, same name. And that's pretty much what I do. SJW Gamer comedy, and sometimes I do Gamer Thoughts, and sometimes I show up on streams where I get freaked the fuck out for watching Phil Fish fucking looking at me and judging me with all of his fishiness.
That's what happens. That's what happens on here. Alright, Matthew, where can people find you and here?
My Twitter is you just search Talps on Twitter. You probably won't find any. You find me pretty easily, I assume. I have like I have like a Toon Link avatar that looks like he's having a seizure. It's very iconic.
How do you write it?
It's TALPSS. It was an acronym for a username I used to have, but now I just use that because it's easier to say.
TA,
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
please.
There. That's just that.
TALPSS for those of you
Yeah,
who are watching.
jeez, you guys are really bad at this.
You guys are like so dumb. Oh god.
I've had to stare at your
How you
fucking
messed that
picture
up?
for fucking how much? 3 hours? I mean, of course I'm dumb. It's Phil Fish I've been looking at for goddamn hours.
And then
I put the in the chat
Yeah.
just in case you didn't have enough of the cancer-inducing image.
Alright, Mozzie, where people find you, what do you do?
yes,
I mean,
very recently I started blogging myself. Doing a post once a week on some small indie game. Keeping it one a week until I have a longer backlog. But yes, that would be Blanchard Gaming, like Blanchard from Monsieur Blanchard, and then just gaming.blogspot.com.
Also write that in the chat.
Yeah, you're gonna need to write that down.
Yeah, because I didn't listen to that, to be honest.
Oh, sick burn.
What bothers me is that it was a comment just to burn, and I was like really close to the computer, and I had to see one more time the fucking
I'm never changing this.
and it
I'm never
doesn't
changing
get better. It's like I can't get used to it. It's just
No, it does get
fucking
better.
there.
It gets better. It gets better. Trust
maybe
me.
for you. It doesn't get better for me. I
Yeah,
have
of
to
course
look
it
at
gets
the
better to
fucking-
me because I don't have to look at it.
Well, fuck you. That's what I have to say.
I never have to look at anything that has to do with me. It's just a cat, a guy with the crazy brown hair, and whatever Calvin has. I don't even know what that is.
Mine's a long story, okay? Eve Online was involved, and I'd rather not. It's a deep personal story to me.
Kelvin's dark past. With the good-
Look, I'd rather not talk about it. I was involved in some shady deals back then, but
You murdered a man over the Eve money.
over Jesus, over the Eve money. Yes.
I don't. What do you?
It's not a
do you-
phase, Dad. God.
Do they have like an online currency for Eve?
Yeah, ISK. I.
What,
I'm
did he say
actually just
dick?
gonna
Is that the dick?
Yeah, basically, it's the same thing, really. I'm actually going to tweet out, Mozzie, I'm going to tweet out your blog so people can find
Nah,
it.
the shilling as in every stream was enough.
Oh no, I just thought I'd tweet it out so people can find it easy enough. And finally, I basically don't do much other than this, and I'm on Twitter at Kel, Kel _Matari, Matarie. That's me. And that's all the shilling, I believe. That's that done.
Feels good to be show. Feels good.
Well, everyone listening, you can all fuck off. All my guests can also fuck off. I'm done.
Well-
Goodbye.